Fine, thank you. How are you?
Doing all right. I heard the man's call last week. I was hoping I could have got on really quick.
Which one?
The man who kept saying everybody needs to go to, like a court of equity.
Rich Iverson?
Yeah, I think that was the man's name. And, Larry Little Bill asked him to come on the show that me and Larry do on Saturday night.
Oh, that's right. Did he ever show up on Saturday?
No, he knows who I am. He's not going to show up.
He might have. You should have emailed him the address. Maybe you didn't know what the address.
What's funny is how everybody, like I said to Larry, I think I'm trying to make it extremely simple what common law is, and this man was trying to say, well, common law is that, was you got to do surrejoindus, surrebutters, rebut. That's English common law, and that's like some sort of a waltz or a dance or a fancy, right, it's fancy, and that's not common. Whenever you watch a Judge Judy show, or Judge People's Court, or you watch, they're doing common law.
Shouldn't be watching TV.
Right, they're doing Judge Wapner. They're doing common law. So what's going on is Judge Judy or Wapner, the People's Court kind of folks, or that other guy who everybody watches on TV for half an hour, they're doing common law. They just say, okay, what seems to be the problem between you two people? And then they say, well, here's the contract, or here was the agreement, and somebody's in violation, or somebody breached the contract. So that's the law that's common to those people and exclusively common to them alone. You don't see Judge Judy whipping down. It's like, well, ma'am, sir, what state were you in? We were in Pennsylvania, and we're now on a Judge Judy show. Well, she's either from either New York or from California. And it's like, well, the code in New York says this. No, you don't see her saying, well, the code in New York says this. You don't see Judge Judy saying, well, the Supreme Court in 1902 said this. You don't see Judge Judy doing any of that nonsense. She's using common law. She's using common law. She's just saying, where's the contract? Where's the agreement between the parties? You said that you'd fix his car. You didn't fix his car. You said you'd give him back his tape deck. You didn't give back his tape deck. Where's the agreement? Where's the rental agreement? You don't see Judge Judy running back to New Jersey code books or Pennsylvania code books and New Hampshire code books and saying, well, what does New Hampshire say about rental agreements? She doesn't do that. She says, where's the contract between the parties? And then if you was dumb enough not to have a contract, Judge Judy says, holy cow, here we go. Do we have a third-party impartial witness to verify anything that you're saying? It's like, yes. Well, then bring him forward. It's like, oh, here's little Timmy. Okay, little Timmy, what did you say? And that's common law. So I don't know why these folks always come on your show and try to say, oh, run to equity, run to equity, run to equity. Now, equity, Judge Judy also does equity. Judge Judy will also do, like, say to them, they'll say, well, the contract said that you had to pay $500. And then they say, well, I already paid $100, but he still wants the $500. And Judge Judy will say, well, wait a second, let me balance this out, let me make this equitable and fair. Pay $400. Because black and white, the common law says you must pay $500. So see, this is the way, if you watch Judge Judy, she actually does common law a lot. What she will actually say to the person is, look, pay him $500. But I already paid him $100. She said, sir, just shut up, pay him $500. And she goes, hand him $500. Now,
slow down a little bit. You're talking too fast.
Oh, what I'm saying, what Judge Judy will say, let's see, the common law is simple. It'll basically be like, instead of being equity is where the judge sits there with a calculator and says, well, you paid $500, you paid $100, it equals $400. Judge Judy will say, no, you pay the $500. So one person will actually pull $500 out of the hand and hand it to the other person. It's like, well, how do I know I'm going to get my $100 back? I already paid him $100. Said, watch this, sir. And Judge Judy will say, now, ma'am, hand him back $100. And hand it back $100. Now that's common law.
So they do common law on TV, but not in real life? Is that what you're saying?
They do it in real life all the time. Every time that's small claims court. What you consider small claims court is common law. Yeah. When you go to small claims court, you're not using Bob versus Jones to 1997. You're not using Hale versus Hinkle. You're not using the Constitution. You're going to small claims court. There's no difference between saying small claims court and big claims court. There's no difference. Just put another 02 after it. You're still acting in common law. You still don't need citations. You still don't need statutes. You still don't need to know Hale versus Hinkle. You still don't need to know who won in Hale versus Hinkle. You don't need to know who's the defending opinion. You don't need to know any of that. Instead of making a small claim, now you just put a couple of zeros and now it's a big claim. Big deal. It's still common law.
So have you won anything lately? Or have you arrested anyone? Did you win anything really, or?
I think the people that I've been helping, and most of the people are either the one man, he was supposed to be going to jail for failing to pay child support. That worked out really good. He's on my call back in the first. Oh, it was great, because his friend just came out of jail after 4.5 years of not paying child support. So he was like, uh-oh. And he said they always treated him like crap in court. So I said, here, let me write a really little simple letter for you. So I gave him 3 sentences. And he handed the 3 sentences to the prosecutor and the judge and the court clerk when he first got to the courthouse. He said,
what were the 3 sentences?
Well, basically it just says, you say I owe money, you say I owe a debt, are you going to bring the plaintiff forward to make the claim? There's 3 little sentences, and then the judge just said, before the trial, it was funny, he was going in at 9 o'clock, so he handed the paperwork like 2 minutes before 9 o'clock. He said he usually sits out in the lobby for hours and waits, all the attorneys and everybody goes first. They said, man, they brought him and his ex-wife in that courtroom so fast, it was scary. And they said, the judge, oh yeah, he said, the judge said, he read the 3 sentences, he says, ooh, strike 1, ooh, strike 2, ooh, strike 3, oh, this is good, this is really good, this guy's a player, oh, this guy knows. He's like, oh, I haven't seen something like this since old man Bob came back here about 20 years ago. He looked at the prosecutor, he said, you remember Bob? Yeah, remember when he did this nonsense? Like 20, oh, this is good, this is really good. Really? So fun. Oh yeah, so he asked the prosecutor, would you like to move? And the prosecutor says, no, I'm going to ask for a 30-day stay because I've just been handed some very important paperwork and I would like to go over this before I answer it. So they said the younger prosecutor, the man told me, said to the older prosecutor, he said, are you going to, he whispered to him, he's like, are you going to have to answer these 3 questions? And the older man said, we will soon find out.
So what again were the 3 sentences? Only go slow.
The 3 sentences was basically something very simple. It's like, you say I owe a debt. So the word you say I owe debt. You know, so it was very simple. It sounds like almost retarded the way I structured it. You say I owe debt.
That's good though, because some of these people are pretty brain dead.
Right, but the judge said this is like perfect. There's no extra words in there. There's no adjectives, nothing. And then the way I did the word you, I italicized the word you. So I'm holding the prosecutor liable in his personal capacity as a man, saying another man owes a debt. So then I'm also saying, are you going to bring the plaintiff forth to say, I owe the debt? So, is the state of Indiana going to show up and swear to this? I'd like to see that. So what I said was funny, the guy really didn't know what I was doing, because I had like a little seminar in Indiana for like 3 days, and he was the very last one to ask me a question. I said, look, I'll get back to you on Tuesday, Wednesday, I'm exhausted. I said, I'll pick this up on tomorrow. And he never showed up, because what I told him to do, he said, well, I asked you about child support payments, and I asked you what should I do. I said, pay your damn debts. Pay every damn thing you owe. I said, I'm not teaching anybody how to get out of a damn thing. So then he didn't come back Tuesday, Wednesday, he said, because he said you made me feel like I was no good or a deadbeat dad. I said, no, I didn't say that. I said, tell them.
You're such a way with words, don't you?
Right, I'm so smooth. I said, but what we did put into the court, we said he can pay $30 down on, whatever amount of money he owed, well over like 5 years worth of back child support. So I said, look, I said, on the best faith, he under good faith and best effort, the best I could do is $30 a month. I hope the court will accept this as payment to the debt due. And they accepted it. So now he's only paying $30 a month.
Okay, wait a minute, though. This guy was in jail for 4 years?
No, his friend had just gotten out of jail for 4.5 years for not paying child support. So he was really scared going into court because he knew he was going to go to jail. They don't mess around in Indiana. You're down behind in child support. He's been down for 5 years, and they finally caught up with him. So he's like, holy cow, I'm going to jail. So he's like, can you write something for me? So he called me up on Sunday, and I wrote something. Monday morning, he brought it in, and he walked out. It was so funny. He said when he was walking down the courtroom, leaving the courtroom, he got to the courtroom doors, and he was going to walk out to the lobby, and he said all of a sudden the younger prosecutor yelled, oh, Mr. what was his name, Brian? Bonner. He says, wait, Mr. Bonner. So he said to me, he said, man, I got so scared, I thought they were going to ask me to come back. Oh, because the judge asked him. He said, would you like to prosecute the prosecutor? Would you like to ask the prosecutor these 3 questions now? And he's like, nah, the prosecutor wants to wait another month. I'll give the prosecutor a month. I said to him, no. I said, you should have said to him. You should have said to him, yeah, I want to prosecute this man right now. Either he's going to move this case immediately, or if he wants me to reappear, I'll reappear, but you're going to pay, Judge, he's getting paid, and she's getting paid. I want to get paid to appear too. So I think it's only fair that if he wants to wait another 30 days, I had to rearrange my whole life schedule. You know, you folks are getting paid. I'd like to get paid for reappearance. So if he wants to pay me to reappear, I'll be more than glad to reappear. Or he can just answer the case now. If he can't move his case now, I move that this case, this court, order this case to be dismissed without prejudice until he can answer those questions. But I want to be left alone until somebody's going to keep moving his case. You know, if they're going to move this case, you better be ready to answer these 3 questions. You better have the plaintiff, because a plaintiff must appear. Because that's an ancient law, and that's why I tell people all the time, every single person you get on the internet right now who's listening to your show and just do quote-unquote, plaintiff must appear. And it'll pop up millions of times. But if you say defendant must appear, no, it doesn't. It doesn't appear. But the plaintiff must appear. Anytime you're moving a case against somebody, anytime you're saying somebody's done wrong, you have to appear in court and point across that room and say he did wrong. So the state of Indiana is going to have to come forward and point across that room and say he did wrong. And that's never going to happen. Look at the O.J. Simpson case. How many times did Marshall Clark say County of L.A. believes O.J. Simpson did wrong, believes O.J. Simpson killed his wife, and we got all this evidence, all this proof. Nobody cared what the County of L.A. had to say. Did Marshall Clark have somebody in that room who was going to point across and say, I witnessed him do this? And she never had it. So the case fell. You know, the case had no standing from the beginning. I know, like I said, except if he was a very rich man and his lawyers were going to take him for every dime he had, they could have just walked into the court immediately at a preliminary trial, a preliminary hearing, and just said, wait a second, there's 4 elements: motive, the victim, the body, the victim of the body, the motive, the murder weapon, and the third-party impartial witness. Now you have no murder weapon, and you have no third-party impartial witness. So, how are you going to prosecute this guy? How are you going to get a conviction? You're missing 2 out of the 4 elements. So it's the same thing when he went to court, when he was being prosecuted, this guy in Indiana. And it was the same thing that happened in Indiana too. There was a mom who had a large hospital debt for her daughter's medical bills, and they were treating her like dirt every time she was going to court. So we said to the lady, how much is the most you can afford? And she said $5 a month. So I said, okay, fine. So I'm looking at nice little things, those 3 little sentence things, and that little thing at the end where it says, I can pay $5 down. She said the judge treated her great, and she said the hospital attorneys treated her great. They said they didn't make fun of her. They didn't treat her like dirt like they used to treat her. They said, you know what? Is that the best you could do under, best effort, under good faith? That's the best you could do? That's the best you could do? That's all we could ask. And she was like, wow. She said, that was, like, easy. I was like, yeah, it's easy. It's called writing a freaking letter. There's no reason to go to court. There's no reason why you can't put this in a letter to them way prior to going into a courtroom. There's no reason to wait for the very last day to ask somebody like me, can you write me something? Look, why didn't you just write it to them a month ago, a year ago? Why are you fooling around? And that's why I like that Larry guy who's on my show, because he's ex-postal worker. So he understands the power in writing letters. And it's a lost art, amongst younger people. They don't understand how easy it is to have all these problems go away if you would just start writing letters back and forth to each other. To these corporations, there's nothing they can do. As long as you're trying to settle a matter on a private side administratively, there's nothing they can do. They can't bring you into court. As long as you're moving in your best effort, you Google best effort, good faith. And that's it. That's how they want you to move. They said, look, I'm giving you my word. This is my best effort. I'm giving you my best effort. This is under good faith. And they have to accept it. And like I said to the man, when now he's doing a $30 a month child support thing, I said, but make sure you do the $30 check, plus give him another check for $1.27, $3.16, an extra $50. every now and then just toss them a little bit extra. Just because, oh look, I was able to get a little bit ahead of my bills, so I could actually pay down on the debt a little quicker. And that's what raises your credit score, or that's what raises your credit rating. That you are a good man of your word, and when you can do better, you will do.
Oh.
So, and then one day I said, then one day you might not be able to pay that 30. One day you might only have $28.17. So then they're going to say, look, then you're going to have to modify it and say, look, this is the best I could do. Under good faith, this is the best I could have done this month. It was $28.17. I hope you accept this. Because they'll see your previous status and the previous way you rolled was when you could find a couple extra bucks here and there, you did it.
Someone's asking, Trustor is asking in the chat, how do you act in the private administratively? I have no idea what that means. Maybe you can clarify it.
It's the common, it's what, if you, like I said earlier, with you folks, I said with the contract, that's the private law. That's the law between you and General Electric, or you and your mortgage company, or you and the IRS, or you and whoever, you and the guy next door, or you with Rent Center. It doesn't matter. You with the hospital. It doesn't matter. Whoever that you're engaged with, whoever you contracted with, that's private. And you want to keep it in a private. You don't want it in an open forum. You don't want it in front of a jury. You want to keep that contract between you and whoever else private. So you want to administrate it. All it means is you want to work on it. That's all administrating it is. You don't want it to have to come down in front of into an open court, into an open forum, and let it be handled judicially. You don't want the jury to have to, make any kind of ruling on it. You want to keep it in the private, just like letters, back and forth, and keep it in the private. Letters are private. You fold them, you put an envelope on it, you stamp it, and God forbid anybody opens up your mailbox, they'll sit in jail for 20 years for touching your letter. It's private. Everybody knows mail is private. You better not touch nobody's mail. So I don't know if having a letter isn't private, doesn't he understand?
But if you're sending your letter to a public entity...
Right, but you're sending it to Bob or Susie, somebody at that public entity. You're not just writing, hi, Mr. Coca-Cola.
Oh, you're sending it to the judge, and the clerk opens it.
No. You're sending it to Bob, who happens to be a judge. You send it to Bob. You direct it directly to Bob. You address. You never write to Judge Smithers. You write Bob Greetings, and then that's the only person that's supposed to be reading it is when it says Bob Greetings. Hi, I believe that you are going to be the hearing officer in this matter. There you go. And you could write confidential on it, and it'll stay with him. Or you could write you and use a fancy word. You could say in camera. He'll understand. That's for his eyes only. They understand when it's a personal letter. You can say it's a personal letter.
So your guy got off with only having to pay, $30 a month.
No. He owes every single freaking dime that he's indebted to. He will pay it.
But he doesn't have to pay more than $30 a month, which is probably what he can afford to pay, right?
It's whatever he believes that he can truly do. He is being honest, and he's being a good man, and he's given his word that that's the best he can do. And that's as far as it needs to go. Nobody's allowed to judge him. Nobody's allowed to make fun of him. Nobody's allowed to tease him. Nobody's allowed to do anything. That's not this country. You want to go like that, go over to Europe. Go over to China where they can tease you and pick on you. But not in this country. They got to be nice, and they got to behave and be polite and civilized. They can't make fun of you. They can't say, well, come on, geez, are you kidding me? That's the best you could do? Look, did you see what I wrote? Best effort, good faith, my word? Are you doubting my word? And you want to take the witness stand and testify? And they'll be like, oh, hell no. Well, thank you. Good. Then you believe me, right? Well, absolutely. I would never doubt another man's word. Well, thank you. That's why I wrote. And the prosecutor understood, and the judge said, wow. He said, this is good. This guy's a player. This guy's really good. Because it's simple. Because he knew what I was doing. I was calling the prosecutor out, not only in his prosecutorial capacity, but him out as a man. And that's what the judge asked the man. He says, would you like to put the prosecutor on the stand right now? Would you like to prosecute the prosecutor? I mean, the judge was laughing. This is going to be fun.
Did he use that terminology? Did he say you want to prosecute the prosecutor?
He said you want to cross-examine the prosecutor. That means you want to be the prosecute just means to pursue something. Now you're the hunter. Would you like to hunt the hunter? Now would you like to flip it around? He seen what I was doing. He was flipping the tables. Instead of being a defendant where you just curl up in a ball, take an ass whooping, you actually get to fight back. It's like, wow, would you like to cross-examine your accuser? Oh boy, that's called habeas corpus. Habeas corpus doesn't mean get somebody's body out of a courthouse into another courthouse. It means to take him out of, like, say, a holding cell like Guantanamo Bay or a dungeon and bring him forth before the judge, accuse him in front of his peers, lay the charges out in front of the court, and let the jury decide. That's habeas corpus. Not that you guys get habeas corpus so backwards and convoluted, it's scary. The whole habeas corpus is you get the right to accuse. Somebody's accusing you, you get the right to cross-examine him in open court. That's part of the habeas corpus. That's partial. That's not the whole habeas corpus, but that's part of it. You have the right to know what you're being accused of. You have the right to come out within a reasonable amount of time, like 20, 21 days, and have your accuser lay the claim in front of a trial by jury. That's all this habeas corpus nonsense is. Who's accusing me? Now I'm going to have the right to cross-examine you. Correct, Mr. Prosecutor, for the state of Indiana? You're going to take the stand and you're going to verify that that claim is true? They'll be like, hell no. I didn't think so. It's that simple. Habeas corpus is backwards. I listened to some guy do a habeas corpus show for like 2-3 hours. It was completely backwards. He's saying, oh, well, you write to the judge and you have the defendant taken out of federal court and brought over here to some common law court or court of Yahweh or court of Jesus or a court of something. It's like, no, that's ridiculous. You just let him come before a trial by jury. It's the Habeas Corpus Act. I think it was like, I'm trying to remember the years. It was like 1679 and goes back to Magna Charta. And it goes back to caveman time. Habeas corpus. And habeas is you bring the body. You the accuser. You bring the body. It's like saying ancient England. Say I was in ancient England 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 700 years ago. And some prince, or I was going across some squires, or some knights, or somebody's little Sherwood forest. And I killed a squirrel. So he threw me in a dungeon for 20 years. I'm going to throw you in there until somebody comes forth and pays for that squirrel. How much is the squirrel? $1 million. What? What, I kill a golden squirrel? Don't you worry about it. You're going to sit in my dungeon and make shoes for me for the next 20 years until that squirrel debt is satisfied. It's like, look, you're going to drag my body in front of the king's bench or the queen's bench, because I have that right under Magna Carta. You're going to drag my body in front of the king's or queen's bench, and I'm going to accuse you, and you can accuse me in front of my peers, and my peers will determine whether or not I should sit in your dungeon for the next 20, 30, 40 years making shoes because I killed a squirrel. So that's what habeas corpus is. The accuser, you bring the body out of your dungeon and bring it before the king's or the queen's bench. That's habeas corpus.
Right, you have the burden of proof.
Right. Then we get the trial. Right. And then we get to say, how do you know that piece of paper is accurate? Do you really believe that I have not supported my wife and my children for 5 years? I have my ex-wife. He had his ex-wife sitting right there, who said that he gave her, I think, like $8,000 in the last year alone. But they didn't want to go through the state of Indiana because they wanted some sort of accounting fee, like the writing out a check. They wanted $100, whatever, a month for writing out the checks. And he's like, why should I give the state of Indiana like an accounting fee? Why don't I just give him the money directly, which he was doing?
But then why would he agree to pay $30 a month?
Well, like I said, he said that he would be willing to go through their little system, that because he doesn't have all that capacity within his brain yet to figure out how to keep his butt out of jail for 4 or 5 years like his buddy did. He's just starting. He has no freaking clue what I'm doing. That's why I said when he got to the courthouse door, the younger prosecutor yelled, "Oh, Mr. Potter, wait a second." And he said he froze, and he said he got so scared he thought he was going to be called out to try to explain what this freaking 3 sentences meant. But the younger prosecutor just ran past him and said, "Let me get the door for you, sir." And he opened up the courthouse door so the man could leave. He says, "Oh my God, I was so relieved that that's all he called my name out for, because he said, I just was totally bluffing him. He said, Carl, I have no freaking idea what you wrote. You see what I'm saying? So this is
you shouldn't send people into court when they don't know what they're doing. That's dangerous.
He was going to go to jail.
Yeah, I get it.
Right, so he knew he was going to jail because the month before, he said the prosecutor was, the guy who was going to court, he's a little Irish guy, about 50 years old, red hair, freckles, poor little guy, man, you know, third grade, second grade education. When he was on my show, he even said that. He said, look, he said, I have maybe a second, third grade education. He said, the last time I was in court before Paul's letter, he said the guy was, like, putting horns behind my head. The prosecutor was sticking his hand behind my head. I kept turning around like, what was the prosecutor doing behind my head? And the judge said, because he went in with the sovereign citizen nonsense before he met me. He said, don't you worry about it, King. You look forward here, King. Okay? Don't worry what the prosecutor's doing behind your back, Your Highness. Look over here, King. So he said he was treated like dirt a month earlier. He said, but then when I handed him my letter, he says, holy crap. He said, that courtroom just was like, they all snapped. They're like, holy crap. What's going on here? Who wrote this?
You want to take a question?
Yeah, sure.
Relator, did you want to ask Carl some... Andrew, can you ask some questions of Carl off topic from what he is talking about now? But he's on the call here. Relator, go ahead. Did you want to ask him a question?
Yeah, I have a question, Carl.
Yeah.
Okay. About 3 or 4 weeks ago, you were on your own call and you said that you had a woman from General Motors make a change to her W-4.
Yeah.
Can you please describe point by point exactly what you told her to do?
Yeah, I know. I did that on Angela's call with her. Angela probably remembers that lady too, because that's how I met the lady through Angela's call. And I don't remember what episode it was, but it was pretty simple. All I told her to do is, like I always tell everybody, just you can amend your W-4 form anytime you wish. So all you got to do is go to your employer. Well, see, she is still working for General Motors. And yeah, if she's listening, you got to tell us, you got to talk to me. So, you know, this lady, she sent me her IRS returns, and she was making $100,000 a year. $100,000. She showed me her IRS returns. This is no bull. She was coming home with $995 a year. They were withholding $99,050 from this lady. She was coming home with $18, $19 a week paychecks. That's obscene. So obviously she lost 2 farms. She lost a farm in Kansas, and I'm trying to remember the other state she lived in, Missouri, I think it was. And she was sending me pictures of that she lost her homes and farms and stuff. I was trying to figure out how to get those back too. But I said, how about we just work on getting your full paycheck restored? And she's like, okay. And I said, okay, so all we did was amend the W-4 form where she wrote exempt all the way down on the right-hand side. She wrote zeros. She just did zeros and like 000 all the way through. And I remember one of the things I had her write N.A., like non-assumptive, like she's, you know, it might appear that she's signing, but she's not being liable for the signature. So she did write like N.A. and then her name. And then on the bottom it says, if you believe, that that's exactly what it says on these W-4 forms, which makes me laugh, because you guys could Google it. It says, if you believe you are exempt, write exempt. So only man has the capacity to have a belief. A car can't believe, a rock can't believe, a corporation can't believe, you know, a book can't believe, you know, the United States government can't have a belief, but only a man or woman can have a belief. So they're giving you that very last little loophole out. They're giving it to you. They're saying, if you believe that you're exempt, write exempt. So there you go. So it says, right,
so you fill out the name and address from the city and town. You fill out the single, married, and or married but with, and then you
No, all that stuff. The W-4 doesn't have any of that stuff on there.
Yes, it does. I'm looking at one right now.
What does it ask you if you're married?
It says single, married but with holds at a higher single rate.
What number is that?
Number 3, box number 3.
And does it give you like box number 3? Could you put like a 0 there?
Is that what you suggest?
I know, are you crazy? I would never tell anybody to do anything, so I could...
Okay, just write N-A.
Yeah, well, that's what I'd say. I'd say
Okay.
it's not as one thing. Right, but
Okay,
what I'm
and
saying is, you're not gonna, nobody's ever gonna get me on a talk show and say, yes, this is how I tell people to fill out their IRS forms. Are you
All right,
kidding me? I don't want no business with no feds on
It's
my front door.
understood.
Thank you.
And as far as the signature, you have to sign it and date it, correct?
This is what I told people, this is what my mom told me years ago, and this is how I did it. And what I always did is I had the original copy I always kept in my wallet. And I always would highlight it in yellow with the word said exempt, and I put it in my pocket. And then I'd copy exactly what I wrote, and I'd give them the copy, and it said copy across it. So there was no doubt about it that they knew I was holding the original instrument. There was no doubt about it. Because this is a copy. So they must know that the original must be out there somewhere. So don't think you're going to say, well, we lost it, or that's not what it said. Oh, really? You don't think I got the original in a nice, safe place? You better believe I do. So like I said, when the IRS, they tried to do that nonsense to me when I lived out in Vegas, my company was working through this huge check cashing place, a huge check service company down on the south part of Vegas by the airport. So I was in Phoenix, and the first 3 paychecks, I was like $600 short. I said, whoa. Took $200 a week out of my paycheck. And it's like, oh, well, we have a check cash processing company that does this. I said, oh, really? I said, I know I got the original in my back pocket. I wrote exempt. They said, well, you're going to have to go find out why they're doing what they're doing. I said, not a problem. I said, where are these folks located? And they told me where they were. So when I talked to the lady receptionist, I said, ma'am, who's the person who does the accounting or bookkeeping? She said, what, you got a problem? I said, yeah, see my check right there? Yeah, I'm like $600 short. I said, who's got my money? She said, what do you mean, who's got my money? Who's got my money? I said, that's my credits. That's my money. That belongs on my... Who took those numbers off of mine and put them someplace else? They're supposed to go directly to me. Don't touch my money. And she said, well, let me get the guy up here. So she called the guy up here, and the guy came forward. And the man said to me, what seems to be the problem? I said, where's my money? I was like, what? I said, I work for X amount of hours. I'm supposed to get X amount of dollars. I'm $600 short. They said, you're the one who writes out the check. Put that $600 back on my check. And they were like, well, what do you mean? I said, look. And he goes, oh, we took out federal taxes. I said, oh, you took out federal taxes. Okay, Bob, you took out my money. Bob, you took my money. My name's Karl. I want my money back on there, Bob. I want it now. He said, well, everybody pays taxes. I said, sir, do you see this says exempt? I believe I'm exempt. What makes you believe that I'm not exempt? He says, well, I'll report it to the IRS. I said, okay, hang on a second, Bob. So I whipped open our wall and I threw out a business card that said IRS investigator, and it said Patricia Garner on it. I said, call that IRS investigator and ask her if I'm exempt. He said, who? And I said, oh, by the way, Bob, tell my mom I apologize. I haven't called in about a year. Tell her I'm real busy, but tell her I'll call her when I get a chance. He said, that's your mom? I said, yeah, that's my mom. She works for the IRS. She's an investigator for them. You want to call her up and ask her if her son is exempt? And she'll tell you, oh, I told him everything he knows. He's exempt, believe me. He's like, I said, so, Bob, you want to give me my $600 now or what? You want me to call up the sheriff? You want to get the sheriff down here? You want to get arrested for taking my money, Bob? He said, I'll have it in your next check. I said, you better. I'll be back.
Aren't you worried you're going to get your mom in hot water by saying that?
No, because my mom wasn't lying. She was telling the truth.
Okay,
Even Harry Reid said it. There's a great video on YouTube. It's about 10 minutes long. They got a guy who listens to Angela's show, asking Harry Reid. He finally pinned Harry Reid in an interview. Harry Reid said to him 12 times, IRS income taxes are all voluntary. And then the man said the next thing, but Harry, if I don't pay my taxes, I'm going to jail. And he said, yes, that's true. He said, but wait a second, Harry. He said, income taxes are voluntary. He said, yes, they're voluntary. But if I don't pay my taxes, I'm going to jail. Yes, you are. And it makes no sense to anybody but my mom and somebody like me, people like Harry Reid, who actually knows the law. It's all voluntary. But when you don't pay your taxes, you're going to go to jail. That's right. Because there's a difference between you don't pay your taxes and I don't pay my taxes. I is a man, you is plural. And I tell people all the time, Google the word you. Go, quote-unquote, you, and just type the word wiki next to W-I-K-I, Wikipedia. And it'll tell you it's a plural word. It means there's two entities there when speaking. So I don't have to pay taxes, but you have to pay taxes. It's funny. He's messing with you guys.
Okay, good to know. Thank you for that. So, basically you go ahead and put your name and address to city and state. You put any in every other box. You sign exempt, and then when you have to sign it, you sign it and date it. Correct?
Yeah. Oh, I sign it. I sign it. I date it. But like I said, that's how I did mine. Now, how you want to do yours, that's how you wish that you believe that you should.
All right, I understand that. And the GM woman did the same thing, right?
Oh, yeah. The only thing that she did was funny. She could have really messed it up. She said, and she wants to be paid in lawful money. I said, oh, my God, lady. She said, don't worry about it. She says, they gave it to me, but I had to put it there anyway. I said, ma'am, it's credits they're giving you. They're not giving you money technically, but technically money is whatever you believe has worth. So do you believe a $2,000 paycheck has worth now? She said, yes. I said, ma'am, that is lawful money then. As money is just what two people believe has value.
So is she getting her money now?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Ah.
And if she's listening, she's listening, you better tell her to give me something for helping. I'm pissed.
You know what this did, Angela? Okay,
what?
This woman stopped a levy with this modification of the W-4. That's what it did.
Yeah.
Okay, Karl, explain why it stopped a levy.
Well, they took her farm and everything. They levied that too. So, see, that's what I'm saying. Now she was trying to have me help her trying to get back her farms.
So what are the odds of that happening?
Oh, probably slim to none. But like I said to folks, man, I said, if you want to try to do it, God bless you. And you give me if she really wants to try to get her farms back, it's going to take a lot of paperwork because she agreed to everything. Because, like I said, the man I helped...
Let me say something here real quick, just so I can slide something in edgewise, because you talk so fast. When you fill out one of those forms, you should know who you are in the grand scheme of things before you do that.
Oh, absolutely.
Only you can determine whether you're exempt or liable. Only you can make that determination. No one else can. No IRS agent can. They may pretend like they can and act like they can, and if you don't dispute it, they will.
But
only you can, determine your status in the grand scheme of things. So you got to understand that.
Some man got on your show about a week after I got on your show, way back in January, and he says, Karl kept using this word "you" like a broken record on your show, Ange, and I did some studying. And you look back in Angela's show back in, like, I think, first or second week in January, it says whatever the man's name is. And all he did was talk about the word "you." He did a great job, but I could do it like in 10 minutes. This guy was doing it for 2 hours. And then he started going down in some metaphysical land, and I don't play that game. I deal with 3-dimension. I don't go in the 4th dimension. I stick with black and white, 2 dimensions, 3 dimensions.
No, that wasn't Santos Bonacci, was it?
I don't remember who it was, but he was pretty good. But like I said, he starts going off on this metaphysics stuff, and I'm not from California, so I don't go there. So I just play very simple. 2 seconds, I'm done. Are you talking about plural me? You as me in the capacity of a man, as the bondholder, as the surety of the fictional entity known as Karl Lentz? Is that the you that you're referring to? But like I said, as soon as you folks realize that they're used plural, and this poor man in Indiana, I don't know if he's on your call right now, his name is Greg. And I told him to get on your show, and he'll tell you, he was on if you're listening, Greg, you got to hit *8. That's how you get on these calls, and you ask Angela questions, ask me questions. He'll tell you, when I went down there to his, when we went down and meet the feds, his attorneys down there in Evansville, at the courthouse, I kept saying to him, this is all based on a confession. A conviction and confession is the same thing. I said, a jury attaints you, they strip you of your rights. They detain you like society turns their back on you. At 0 or 12, you're attainted. You're no longer welcome in society. You lose your right to get guns, to vote, all kinds of stuff. I said, but a conviction is a confession. That's what I said to the angel a long time ago. I said, when you watch those old Perry Mason shows, Perry Mason would start to really drill a guy in the witness box, and all of a sudden he'd just say, okay, I confess. He's self-convicting himself. He's convicting himself through the confession. That way, the court goes more lenient on you when you confess, or compared to when the jury comes down And when the jury renders its verdict against you, and if you didn't confess, you are going to lose everything. But when you confess, it's like almost like a Catholic thing. They're supposed to go easy on you. So IRS is all based on a confession. There's like 6 different ways to describe money that is sitting in your bank account. One way could be income. So it's so funny when I drove this poor guy around for like 3 days straight. We drove like 700 miles in this rental SUV thing that I took out, and I just drove this man all over Indiana to talk to him. I wanted to get away from his wife and his kids.
I think he's on here. It says South Indiana. Do you want me to unmute him?
Yeah, unmute him.
Is that you? South Indiana?
Yeah, that is.
Hi.
Go ahead, Greg. Tell me a little bit what happened.
Well, basically, she didn't. This public defender that works for the, they work for the federal prosecutor. Actually, not you. She got real anxious when Karl walked in with me, and then we talked to her a few minutes, and she done a 180, and then she was thankful that Karl was there, because she formerly was used to me talking another way, let's put it.
Yeah, free man of Montana style.
Not so much that, but quoting their codes and quoting all their stuff, and using the Rod class tactic, which works for Rod fine, but most people could not pull it off. I'm not sure he can yet. I'm hoping. I don't want to see anybody get in trouble who's fighting for the right cause, but
You're getting a little muffled out there, South Indiana. You want to get closer to your mic, maybe?
I'll take it off the speaker.
Yeah, that would be good.
Did you hear what I said, or do I need to repeat any of it?
No, we heard you, but it was a little muffled.
Okay. But anyway, then she kind of got all, glazed over, and then she was very happy that Karl had changed my way of thinking. And she told Karl, she was forever grateful for what did she call it, Karl? The transformation?
Yeah, like I said, when we went down there, they look at me, and I guess they think I'm a free man of Montana style, or I'm going to start doing, crazy land on them, using Constitution and codes and using all kinds of crazy Yahweh and stuff. And I'm like, look, dude, this is very simple. They're just waiting for you to confess. There's 6 forms of income. Are you going to admit now that anything in those bank accounts are income or not?
She wouldn't have told me that had Karl had not opened up his mouth, and then she knew, all right, he knows the gig. Now I got to be honest with him, or he's going to think that I'm against him. So she was totally honest. She was very honest, and she said that they don't have anything at all against me but a paper case, and they're just waiting for me to confess. And I'm sitting there thinking to myself, well, why the hell would I want to do that?
It was funny. She picked up this huge stack of paperwork. She said, but look, Greg, you went over this paper. You went over all these accounts with us a year and a half ago, and you told us where every single dime came from. And are you trying to tell me now that you don't remember that saying that this was all income back then? And remember what I did?
Yeah.
I kicked him.
He was kicking my boot under the table.
And what'd you tell her?
I don't recall.
Yeah,
I was Hillary Clinton.
I don't recall. Yeah, it was hysterical. The lady, but she's fanatic. She's picking the paper, but waiting on his face. But look at all these numbers, and look at all this. We went through all this. We went through this over a year and a half ago, and you told me this was all income. And he's like, I don't recall.
I was under a lot of stress back then, and I was just telling people what they wanted to hear, just so I could get out of there. I was under duress.
Right.
So I really don't know.
Because I said to the lady, I said, do you want me to tell them the other 5 sources of money or funds that could possibly be placed into a bank account that is not income? So would you like to tell us exactly how much is income in that account, ma'am? With the United States of America ready to tell us? Is the IRS ready to tell us? Is the IRS ready to take the stand? Is the United States of America? Is anybody willing to take the stand and say to the penny how much money in those bank accounts that you claim that he had control of is income compared to the other six other funds that could be inside of a bank account that has nothing to do with income, which has nothing to do with your case. So she said, honestly, she said, we got nothing but a paper case against you. She said, we're all waiting on you to confess. She said, if you want to, we can just walk across the street right now to the prosecutor's office. And remember, she said that?
Isn't that the way it is with everything, though, when you're dealing with them? They're waiting on you to put your foot in it.
Right, and she realized that he had somebody like me sitting next to him. So when she said to him, she said, honestly, they can't even, the United States, we can't even offer you a plea bargain yet. Remember that, Greg?
Yep.
She read out the whole entire thing about plea, because, let me put it this way, folks. If the prosecutor's saying to you, well, we'll give you 1 year in jail and $500 fine, well then, there must be a plea somewhere in there. You must have pled guilty. You must have pled not guilty. You must have entered into their jurisdiction and control somewhere. See, so far to this date, Greg has not entered into their jurisdiction. If he had or has entered into their jurisdiction, they could offer him a plea deal. So when somebody's offering you a plea deal, you have already entered into their jurisdiction. If the judge is telling you a traffic court, or a divorce court, or a cocaine court, if they're cutting a deal with you, somewhere along the line, they have jurisdiction over you. They have control over you, because she actually read it right out of the federal code book. She pulled out this great big huge book on her desk, boom, and read it word for word, because she knew that I knew exactly where she was going to go and not go with this. So when I was sitting in the room next to Greg, you better believe she pulled out the books and read it verbatim out of the book, because she's like, this guy Karl is good. And she apologized. She said, I'm sorry I treated you so bad when you first walked in here, me and secretary or whatever, but, she said, I could see that I said, yeah, I look a lot smarter than I look, don't I? And she said, well, I wouldn't say that. I said, well, I said it. I'm a lot smarter than I look. I said, ma'am, I wrote a law dictionary. And she said, would you like to come to our National Federal Public Defenders Convention? We had it last year in Atlanta. Would you like to be a speaker? And she said, because I could see your kind of paperwork, we're going to be seeing a lot more in federal court, I believe. I said, you think? And when my stuff gets out, it's going to be all over the courts. Right, Greg?
Yeah. And
okay, now, go ahead, I'm sorry.
She also wanted to have Karl explain how this crazed stuff got started and how it manipulates people's minds and how they're fueled with anger and all of that. How it's, they've now, and I know this to be a fact, they've now stripped all the immunity from all judges, prosecutors, lawyers, public officials. It's actually documented on the Vatican's website. The Vatican has pulled all immunity from these people all the way down the line, and they're now, I think, getting a little bit scared.
Yeah, but remember what I said, Greg, that I try not to deal with what somebody else is doing, because we don't even know if the Vatican even exists. We've never met the Pope. We've never been to Rome. It might right. We only concern ourselves with what is under our control as a man or a woman. So, like I said, this lady realized that I made this guy incredibly angry. He was incredibly bitter. He was incredibly, into all this, the Pope, all this code stuff. And she's like, wow, you turned this guy completely around, and you totally mellowed this guy out. So, see, that's what's funny, Angela. I'm from New York, and you're from California, but I totally mellow people out. I totally take them away from that rock class stuff, and they're always angry and always confrontational. To me, it's like, hey, I totally accept everything. And you're just going to have to come forward and testify to that.
And we get the sidetrack, too. Karl, I've got can you see the chat board at all? Because we've got a lot of people asking questions that you got sidetracked.
I'm sitting in my buddy's shop. I'm working on my car and my motorcycle.
Okay, because, later she said she has more questions for you. She's not done yet. We have someone else with their hand up yet in Illinois. And Lynn B, wait, let me finish.
Okay.
And Lynn B is on here wanting you to get back to filling out the form, she wanted a little more detail, if you wouldn't mind, like, you know, and also someone asked, you know, what do you put on the form, I guess, A through H or whatever? Is that where you put the zeros, or?
Well, the one thing is the non-assumption. That's where you do basically do. See, everybody thinks it means non-applicable. And non-assumption.
Someone said here for that, you put that in front of your signature or something.
Yeah, because that just means even though it appears that there's a signature on there, I'm not holding myself liable for the signature. It's like the attorneys write the word by, B-Y.
Okay, so is that the only place you put N-A?
That's where I do it. That's where I do it. Not where I recommend other people do it. There you go. That's where I believe that I should do it for my best interest. Now, what you do is up to you.
Okay, and then what do you put on lines A through H?
I put on mine all zeros for the line through it, so there's no doubt about it.
Okay.
That's what I do with mine, but that's not what I would do with yours, but that's what I would do with mine.
Okay. Was that it for you, Lynn?
But see, like I said, I'm glad this man Greg was on, because like I said, he was one of the people that paid for me to come out there to Indiana. I spent like 2-3 weeks out there. And he had 4 federal felonies he's looking at. So 2 they just said immediately, they said, well, we're going to forget about it. And these other 2, they're still going to try to prosecute him. So these 2 would now, me and him, have a letter campaign writing going on between him and the federal prosecutor, the federal magistrate, the court clerk, and the public defender's office. So we got a nice little letter campaign going, don't we, Greg?
Yeah, every time the attorney gets a letter, within a minute of her opening it, she calls me on the phone and says, I'm not answering this, I'm not answering any of this, I'm not going to put any of this in writing, no way, I don't work like that.
So I told him we got to send her a letter saying, so you don't put anything in writing, can I have you put that in writing, that you don't put anything in writing, can you sign that you don't do anything in writing? Thank you, ma'am. Because everything's got to be in writing. If it's not in writing...
These are simple questions that nobody should be afraid to answer in writing if they weren't hiding something.
Right. Because we just asked him a very simple question, because he has an ankle shackle on his leg.
Oh,
and he has,
God.
Yeah, so he's got that kind of nonsense going on. So she said they are not going to take it off. So I said, oh, lovely. Well, who is this they? Who's this magical unicorn they? I always wondered who they was. Who's this they? You know, so we wrote a nice little letter to her asking, like how I explained to everybody what the word I means, what the word you means, and what the word they means. So I said to the lady, can you please, I wrote it for him, and then obviously he mails it off. But can you please explain who's this they? Who's they that won't take this off? Who is they who won't remove their property from my property? Who is this they who are holding themselves liable for harming my property? For accessing, because now it's called a constructive trespass, right, Greg?
Yep.
What's a constructive trespass?
And we wanted to make sure that we let them know that they've now become casual agents.
Well, what's a constructive trespass? What's a constructive trespass? Do you remember?
Sure. It's when you invited something in and then you decided it's no longer good for you and you want it gone.
And what did you invite into your life, onto your property? Now you wish you didn't.
Obviously, this freaking monitor. I mean, this man stood up and told the judge that I was dangerous. I was a danger to the United States, and that I was told the judge I was a drug addict and that I was a anti-government, antisocial nutball. Basically, told the judge I was crazy.
They pulled the shotgun. Tell about the shotgun.
What do you mean?
Oh, when they pulled the shotgun on you.
Oh, it was more than a shotgun. They had fully automatic weapons in my face, and this one guy, he drew the bolt back, put a shell in the chamber, and put it to my head.
Yeah, this is for IRS.
Isn't that nice?
This is for IRS. This is for money. This is for green pieces of paper. This is insane.
Yeah, This was the U.S. Marshals that did this to me.
For money. This is silly. He didn't kill nobody. He's not charged with harming anybody.
Yeah, that's a whole nother talk show, you know?
Yeah.
Put a uniform and a badge on someone and it changes them. What?
I was born and raised in the church. My kids were born and raised in the church. I've never done drugs. Karl can tell you I don't even drink. I haven't. I mean, I'm nothing what this man told this judge that I was.
Yeah, they lie. So what else?
Yeah, he just builds old Trans Ams. That's all he's a good old Indiana guy. He just builds Trans Ams, and he's got a website, and that's all he does.
Relator is mentioning here that when ready, I am prepared to ask my additional questions. So, shall we get back to her real quick?
Well, we just letting. It worked out great with this, Greg, because you asked me earlier, what have you been up to lately, Karl?
Yeah, well, I don't want him to leave or anything. We've got other people that are asking questions too. Just try to squeeze it all in if we can.
Oh yeah, I think he did really good. I think Greg got his story out. Like I said, they chambered around. They pointed at his head for money. This is insane. Yeah, it makes no sense why they're doing this for money. And like I said, the big thing that we were trying to work with is who's this they? Who's going to not take their property off of his property? Is the they the United States government? Is the property? Is this they the U.S. Marshals? Is the they the prosecutor? Is the they the court? Is the they the IRS? Who is the they that will not remove this ankle bracelet from my property?
That's right. I agree.
We're working on simple questions, one at a time. So it's a letter campaign. So it's so funny. They wanted to prosecute him. They wanted the trial like at the end of the month, and they said after they met me, they were like, "We're probably going to have to wait until sometime next year to have this trial." You see, now they realize, holy cow, this isn't going to be easy.
That's like I conditionally accept whatever you have to say upon proof.
Yeah.
Give me the proof.
Well, verified. You need verifiable proof. Yeah, I don't want to piece of paper.
I wouldn't even conditionally accept anything upon proof. I just say, where's the proof?
Yeah. Well, that's what, in essence, what you're doing.
Well, the big thing so much isn't where's the proof, is where's the verifiable. Who's going to speak in an open court?
Right, the valid and verified
what
proof.
man or woman has a claim?
Right, who's got the verifiable proof? Who's going to be able to, just because it's proof, because it's a piece of paper. Just because a piece of paper says this is the proof, this is all the proof I need is a piece of paper. Okay, who's going to take the stand and verify that piece of paper? I need the verifiable proof.
There you go. Valid and verified. All right, relator. Go ahead. Stay on though, South Indiana, or Greg is your name. You don't have to leave. Stay on. Go ahead, relator.
Okay, yes, I have a question. So, with regard to the W-4, what is your stance with regard to if you're no longer employed and you want to change the W-4 and you want to send it to the IRS, do you think that will change anything?
Now, why would you want to do that?
Yeah, that makes sense. Right?
It makes a lot of sense because the W-4 is the contract for withdrawal and distribution of funds, whether it's under a regular paycheck or whether it's under levy. It's the contract that's the nexus.
Okay, that's if there's something that's being levied. All you said was being employed. You didn't say anything about being levied.
Okay, if you are no longer employed with the company
and being levied,
you're not being levied, but you're being liened and what have you, the contractual nexus is the W-4.
Well, I'm saying if you're being liened, why didn't you go to the hearing? They got 21 days. As soon as you noticed of a lien being on you, why didn't you demand a hearing? You got 21 days. I know that,
but if it's past that, then can you not change the W-4?
No, because then all you're going to do is require a hearing to get the lien lifted. Why would you want to mess around with their paperwork? I wouldn't mess around with their paperwork. I'd make my own claim that this lien is an unlawful lien, and I'd move for a hearing immediately and ask them to bring any kind of verifiable proof that the lien is true and the lien should stay, or the lien should stand.
Well, the lien will stand as long as the old W-4 is in place.
No, it won't. Because if you try to lien me based on a piece of paper, are you going to come to court and say that that W-4 form is a true form? It's all based on confession. Ask Greg. Greg just said it to you. All that paperwork that the IRS has against them, they got a mountain of paperwork against this guy. We're talking 6-7 figures accounts. We're not talking chump change. This guy's got like all kinds of international banking nonsense going on. This guy Greg has been all over the world. They got all kinds of mountains of paperwork. They can't verify not one single scrap of paper. Not one freaking thing. They need Greg to confess. They need Greg to utter. Until he utters, unless he produces, and that's an utter produces, unless he utters, he's fine. They have no case. They got mountains of paperwork. Ask Greg. I mean, it was funny watching this lady pick up all this paperwork and wiggling it. Look at all this stuff we went through, like line by line. I felt so bad for that lady. Like, look at you like whipping a book out. It's like, we went through all this stupid accounts. And now you're telling me you don't recall any of this? No, he's like, he'll tell you. I don't recall. I don't recall filling out a W-4. I'll recall.
Okay, so, but you understand that even after you're not employed anymore from a company and the IRS goes after you, they still go to that company and tell them, give us the W-4 that you have on file.
Great. So what? Are they taking any of your property?
In most cases, yes. They're leaning or levying bank accounts, houses, taking cars.
Okay, let me put it this way. If you, now you believe you have a bank account, right?
Don't go there. Just answer the question.
Oh, no, I am going there. Because you have no control of your bank account. It's not your account.
I know that. I know what it is. It's a debtor-creditor relationship. I get that.
No, I didn't say it's that. No. I didn't say it's a debtor-creditor relationship.
Okay, now wait a minute. Take a deep breath. Everybody, take a deep breath. Relax. Let's have a good discussion here, not a shouting match. Okay.
Right. I don't go that silly debtor-creditor relationship. It is not your bank account. It's not your driver's license.
That's correct. It is not, because you are a creditor without a lien on your bank account. Look, I can give you citations in Amdur to prove it. You are a unsecured creditor on your bank account. I get it. I've done the research.
Ma'am.
Okay.
Ma'am, you don't have a bank account. It's not under your control 24 hours, 7 days a week. It's the bank's bank account that they allow you to access at times.
I get it. It's because it's a creditor. I get it.
No, it has nothing to do with creditor. Ma'am, if you and I wanted to start a bank today, forget about Bank of America, forget about charters, forget about everything. I want to start my own bank today, and you want to put money into the bank. It's my bank. It's my bank account. I will tell you what times and days you have access to that account. 9 o'clock to 5 o'clock. You could only take out so much and so little. You can only do this on certain days of the week. Well, you say, well, it's my account. Ma'am, I got total control of this. 24 hours, 7 days a week.
Can we move on, please? I already know about all about that.
You know this. You know this, ma'am. Ma'am, you know this.
I do.
The other people don't. Okay, there's 100 other people who don't understand the simple, basic concept. When you want to put money into a bank that's not one of your friends who are controlling the money, or like you watch It's a Wonderful Life, like you don't have a Henry Fund or a Stewart, whatever his name was, running the bank as the bank manager, the bank president. If you're not letting your local banks control your money, if you're putting in one of these great big huge corporations and one of these international funds, and you believe that they're doing you wrong, why are you putting your money in one of these great big huge international funds if you have no control over whether you wake up in the morning, your bank account could be zero, and you know and I know there's nothing you're going to be able to do about it. Why would you want to put your money into that?
She gets it. Let's move on.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
Okay, so my question is, when you have moved on and you're no longer employed, can you put in a change of W-4 from the original W-4, send it to the IRS, and no longer become liable?
See, this is what I'm saying. I'm trying to talk to somebody who, when I say I am not liable, you are liable. I just said Karl Lentz, you. I said,
I don't think you can go backwards, though. I don't think, on a W-2, usually you're just filling one of those out for the employer.
Right, you're wasting your
but
time.
Angela, a GM employee did go backwards.
They did?
Okay, she changed her W-4 from the original W-4, which could have been in the 1990s, I don't know. And she stopped a levy.
Okay.
So she was a current employee.
Right. So what's going on now, ma'am, is she's getting her full paycheck. She did not get one single damn dime that was levied against her back returned to her.
I understand that. I understand that.
Current. So she's
I'm not asking
now.
that question. My question is, if you are no longer employed and the IRS is using the old W-4 from the old employer to lien and levy bank accounts, can you change it today?
No. I'll make it simple.
Why not?
No. Because there's no need to do it, because you would put something new on top of the case file, and the new piece of paper would be the controlling document. The stuff that was in the past is in the past. Whatever's on the top goes first, gets heard first. All you're doing is saying that somebody's trying to take my property, or somebody's making a claim against my property, somebody's leaning something, or somebody's levying something, and they're in error. And I wish for them to remove their lien or their levy that's interfering with my access to my property.
They still have her property and everything. They didn't give her back the house or the property or anything. But currently, as of the moment she changed her W-4, she started getting her whole paycheck.
Right.
And that stopped the levy.
Well, it stopped the withholding part of it.
Right.
The money
it
part
stopped
of it.
the levy.
But still, they still have her property and whatever else they've taken. They haven't returned that to her. They haven't gone back and said, well, we owe you X amount of dollars for all these years we've been taking your money, and give her a big lump sum or anything like that. It was as of that day that she changed her status.
You're right. You're absolutely right, Angela.
Yeah.
She didn't go back to get the levy. It just simply stopped it from this day forward.
Right, she changed her status.
It is the quintessential contract whereby the employer can levy, and I don't mean it if it means current taxes, past taxes, leviable taxes. It means it destroys it today.
How is her employer levying her?
He's not anymore.
I know.
She changed
I know.
that, right?
I know. The employer can't levy you. But if this lady wants to believe it, Angela, she wants to believe it. I'm not going to stand with that.
I think it's just a matter of terminology, and the word, she's stuck on the word levy.
Yeah, levy means...
And I understand where she's coming from, but a W-4 only pertains to an employer's ability to withhold, and how much you're telling them you're agreeing to let them withhold.
Okay,
right.
Except for the fact that when they do a lien post, when you're no longer employed, when they do a lien and they do a bank levy, they're using the old W-4 to do it.
What's a lien? Can you tell me what a lien is? What do you believe
they don't lien. It's a
no cares. They're doing it.
No, I'm asking this lady what she believes a lien is.
Who cares? They're doing it, and they're doing it based on the W-4.
Well, if you don't know what a lien is, ma'am, if you don't know what a lien is, then why are you saying that it's important or not important?
They don't
They're
really
doing it based on the W-4. The W-4 is the contract.
What is a lien?
Even if you're no longer employed, it's still the contract.
Ma'am, if you don't know what a lien is, ma'am, if you don't know what a lien is, why are you getting so upset if the employer or employee is liening something? If you don't even know what a lien is.
The employer and the employee isn't leaning anything. The IRS is leaning something.
Really? And what's a lien?
What does it matter? It's a notice of lien. What does it matter? They're still using the old W-4 to do it.
Really? You mean I can't lien you and I have to use the W-4?
They're using the status based on the W-4, perhaps. I don't know.
Can I lien you? Can I lien the IRS and not have a W-4 form?
If there's a contract in place that says that you're liable for something, yes, they can.
Oh, so if there isn't a contract, you're saying if there's not a written contract, you're saying I can't lien you?
There is a contract. It's called the W-4.
Okay, all I'm asking is what is a lien?
I don't care.
Okay, Angela, you want to tell her what a lien is, or you just want to go on to somebody else?
I think, well, it doesn't matter. I think what she's saying, the point she's trying to make is should she fill out another W-4 to, like, supersede the one that she already filled out that they're dinging her with? And I'm saying no. Maybe you need to do something else, though. Like,
a lien is just saying that you shouldn't be able to transfer funds or transfer property until the matter's been settled between the parties. That's all I'm doing. I'm just leaning up against you. I'm just trying to restrict movement of an asset. That's all I'm doing before it disappears, before they bury it, or before they hide it, or before they destroy it. I'm just leaning it. All I'm saying is, like, look, I believe that I have a vested interest or an equitable claim upon that piece of property, or that money, or that tree, or that car, that yo-yo, that roller skate, so I'm going to lien you. I'm going to go to a court, or I'm going to go to the county recorder, I'm going to say, hey, don't let them transfer that property, because I believe I have a vested interest in that. I believe I got 2 cents or 3 cents in that property, and before they transfer it, I want I want my lien to be noticed. That I believe there's a 3-penny claim on that thing, or a $2.15 claim on it. See, Angela, like I say, when people just start whipping out stuff, notice of liens and stuff like that, and start getting all upset about it, if you don't know what these words mean, it sounds kind of ridiculous arguing with you. Because it's simple words. It's just a restriction of property until a matter can be heard. That's all. That's all a lien is. Nobody's taking anything from you. It's just it's like when the IRS wants to put a lien on you, I put a lien on you, you find out that I gave you notice of lien. You're supposed to get a notice. But somebody's claiming that something that you own, they believe they also have a right to possess or own it or control it. So, oh, really? So you really believe that you have the right to lien this on me? Oh, really? You believe you can lien my bank? Oh, you believe you can lien my car, my yo-yo? Really? Let's try to settle this privately. Let's push some paperwork back and forth to each other. But you should have done it before you put the lien on against me, and you should have exhausted the administrative process between me and you before you ran down to the court and put a notice on me of lien through the court. But since you felt like skipping all these steps, fine, that's lovely. You want to have an open forum? You want to have a hearing? You want to put this on trial? Fine. Let's bring your claim that you have the right to restrict and control my property into an open forum and bring it forth. Show us. Show the world. Bring it forth and show the world that you have the right to do what you want to do with my paycheck. That's my credit hours. Those are my dollars. That's what
I feel the same way you do. Relator, is that it for you? Where'd she go? Oh.
Whenever somebody liens, I don't care if the IRS liens you, I don't care if I lien you, I don't care if the man on the moon is liening you. First they have this transfer, should have, that's why a lot of people went to jail for leaning up judges, because first you're supposed to do a letter writing campaign with the judge or whoever you're going to lean up against, so you have some sort of proof that you tried to show this man that he's got control and possession of your property, and you want him to stop doing what he's doing. So you're going to say to him, please release my property to me, or a certain percentage of that property to me, or something, because I believe I have an equitable or vested interest in that property. Please do it and do so immediately. And before he says, before you get to sell it or transfer it to somebody else, I want all the equity that I put into that property turned over to me immediately. And I'm going to lien it up. So if you try to transfer it, that title is not going to be a clear title. There's going to be a lien on it, and you're going to have to square it with me first before I release the lien. Or you take it before a trial, and you have a trial before a guy in a black robe, or like a Judge Judy. Or you take a free trial by Judge Judy, you'll determine whether or not something is to be liened. It's like, say, a mechanic's lien. So you go, let's do a simple mechanic's lien. If you're a woman, you go to California somewhere, they charge you $2,000 to do a transmission. You're like, oh, that's ridiculous. My brother, he's a guy, he has the same car, you only charge him $500. I think you're taking advantage of me because I'm a woman, and you want to pay me $2,000. It's like, you know what? You go lean up the mechanic shop. How do you do that? You go down to the Los Angeles County Courthouse and you say, look, here's $2,000. I'm going to pay the bill to the, like basically holding in an escrow with the judge and the court clerk. She'll hold the $2,000. You'll go down to the sheriff's department. You'll go get your car taken out of the automotive shop and say, whoa, you didn't pay this $2,000. Like, oh, yes, I did, sir. I put it in, I have it held in escrow down at the courthouse. Or then, like I said, when you do like the mechanics lien like that, the mechanic could do that to you if you didn't go down there and put in an escrow. Like if you just said, well, I got screwed, I got ripped off, I'm going to take the car. So you sneak in the middle of the night and take the car, and then he's going to put a mechanics lien against your title. And he's going to say, you still owe me $2,000. So you basically technically didn't steal your car, but you still owe $2,000 on it. But you thought you were going to sneak there at 2 o'clock in the morning and take the car with the extra set of keys out of his garage or out of his parking lot, and then he's going to put a mechanics lien on your car. So that
okay, but Karl, her question was, should she fill out a W-4 and change it after the fact? And your answer is no.
It's a waste of time.
Okay, that's it. That answered the question.
Yeah.
And let's move on. Okay, let's see here. Illinois, go ahead. I unmuted you. Did you have a question for our friend here, Karl?
Yes. So what's up, Karl? This is Malik.
Hey, Malik, I got a letter campaign riding with him and Mr. Andy, the Secretary of State, right?
Yeah, I'm waiting on them to send the correspondence back via USPS. It's taking a little longer than the email that they sent me, which was the next day, but I guess I'll wait. But I went all the way back, and at first I didn't know how to go back on Angela's calls, and I listened to some of the episodes with you and some of the other guys. And now I'm, getting it a little clearer, of course. And I wanted to ask, okay, if you do a claim and take it over to the common law side of the court, in any court, as far as traffic or anything else, when they actually, if they're going to dismiss or discharge the case, what happens to their case when they discharge the case? Don't they have to dismiss or discharge their case too?
Well, no, their case could stay in perpetual. Their case could stay in perpetual limbo. You couldn't care less, and that's basically what a dismissal is. It's basically in perpetuity. It's just in limbo that it's being dismissed. It's like everybody knows. Everybody heard me say it a million times that when you get dismissed from the Army and you're a private, the sergeant says dismissed. That means you just go back to your barracks for a while. When he says you're discharged from the Army, that means turn in your uniform, turn in your weapons, and get the hell off our base. So dismiss just means you're in limbo until they charge you again, until you come back and answer to this. Until then, it's a hell of a limbo. So, like I said, a lot of folks, I'm telling you, they're not going to discharge cases anymore because when they discharge the case, then that proves that they're charged of no merit. So if they charge you with a $50 fine or a $1 fine, you could come back and sue them for $1 million. So they're just going to dismiss it. That way the case is always like pending. The case is always out there in some state of whatever.
They can't discharge it because then they would have to pay all that money back to the investors and then in the municipal bonds they create on those cases.
Well, that's a much deeper level. That's a much deeper level. I mean, I know Greg knows that, but what I'm saying, I'm making it very simple to Joe Normal. The reason why they don't discharge cases anymore is so, well, Greg will tell you about the bond issue, about that.
I kind of studied that a little bit too, so I understand that part of it.
I try to make things right. I try to make things extremely simple. That if you try to go for a discharge, you're never going to get one. Well, you're going to have to file enough because once they do, once you can find it, like I said with the O.J. Simpson or this guy George Zimmerman down in Florida, this guy George Zimmerman should sue the state of Florida for $1 trillion because they ruined his good name, his good reputation, they ruined his life, they ruined everything, and the guy could say, look, I told you your case had no merit. Your case had no standing. 12-0. Nobody found me guilty. I walked out of that courthouse. I'm a free man. There is no reason why you picked on a wrong guy. You filed a false claim, and your claim caused me $1 trillion worth of damage. He should go and get $1 trillion out of the state of Florida. State of Florida should be liable. And they should pay him. Same thing with O.J. Simpson. He walked out. I mean, he was found not guilty. Hey, how would you like it if you were charged with some sort of crazy crime and they destroyed your life for 2 or 3 years? You're swearing up and down that you murdered somebody because you're a black guy driving around in Chicago in a Jaguar. and then they destroy your life for 2-3 years, killing a white woman, chopping her head off, like O.J. was accused of doing. And what, you don't think you should get compensation for them destroying your world? Of course you should. Yeah. So, I mean, when you make a claim against thy brother, if your claim was false, you got the death penalty. So should the state of Florida get the death penalty like they were trying to seek for him? Oh, yeah. Does that mean that everything should be wiped out? Oh, yeah. They should lose their world because they tried to destroy his world. They should have to turn their world over to him. So you got to be very careful when you accuse somebody of doing wrong. So you should be held to a really high standard. You better have an ironclad case because you're going to destroy somebody else's world. Look, like I said, with this poor guy, Greg. They loaded a chamber and pointed it at his head because of an IRS tax dispute. That's ridiculous. You don't chamber around in a shotgun and point it at somebody's head and say, you move a muscle, I'll blow your head off. Are we talking about green money? Is that all you say? I owe you some green money, so you're going to blow my head off? You're crazy, right? It's just green money. Did I hurt anybody? No. Then why got that gun pointed at my head? Because, like, we're the only country on the planet that puts people in jail for not paying the IRS taxes, income taxes. Russia don't put you in jail. France don't put you in jail. So why is all this violence against the American people because they didn't pay an income tax? It doesn't make any sense. If you don't pay it in France or Italy or Japan or China, they just garnish it out of your paycheck. What's with throwing people in prison in this country? It makes no sense. Because nobody got hurt. You could just say it was an accounting error. So what? So you're going to throw me in jail because the decimal point was what? Well, what was your question about, Malik? Sorry about that.
It basically was to ask the question just asked, like when you go and you bring it over to the other side, which is on the common law side of the court. I was just asking what happens, to the case, to their case on the other side, because if you bring a claim, if you ask, do they have a claim? If anyone has a claim, and then you bring your monetary, if you bring your claim and it has monetary and you want money, then you are forcing them to basically dismiss their claim on the other side. Is that right?
One good thing, one good thing, thank God, that they always move their cases and their claim under statutes. So in Canada, they got 6 months to pursue their case or complaint, the traffic complaint against you. Like in California, it's 2 years. So they only have 2 years to leave their case hanging in limbo under statute. But like I said, if you want to actually read something like the Judiciary Act of 1793, Clause 31, it says that a man can move his claim for all time, and his great-great-grandchildren could pick up his claim and move a man's claim. But there's a difference between a claim and a complaint. Like, right, the state always do criminal complaints against you. So, like you see on some TV shows, it's like, 7 years for bank robbery. They got 7 years to chase you down and demand the debt be paid within 7 years. It's a statute of limitation kind of nonsense. But thank God, their kind of world, they just do that. They have a statute of limitations, and then it's just dismissed. But can you move to get it discharged? Nah, I wouldn't waste my time getting the discharge. I'd go there and file a claim, like you said, on the common law side of the court, on the man's side of the court. Because, see, to me, traffic court, when you go to traffic court, the traffic judge, the traffic bailiff, the traffic court reporter, the traffic stenographer, to them, what they're practicing every day is common to them. It's their common beliefs that if you do 55 and a 30, this happens. So that's their common beliefs to traffic court. So when you use the word common law, it's kind of confusing. It's just I just say it's law that's common to that little group or that little society, that group of individuals. That's common law.
Okay.
Yeah, so you see what I'm saying?
What am I hearing? Is somebody having a dog fight in the background or something?
Sorry, that was someone in my background. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, but like I said, Malik, like I said, they got statute of limitations. If they don't move for a certain amount of time, then yes, can you move a motion as a defendant in their case, that you've been stylized as the party that has to answer. You're not the king at that point in time. You're in somebody else's case. You're the clown. You're the guy who's doing the answering, not doing the questioning. So yes, can you just say, hey, you know what? I've been a clown in your case long enough, man. you know what, I don't want to play anymore. So you had 2 years to pursue me, you had 2 years to prosecute me, you had 2 years to hunt me down. You know what, I'm done. You wasted too much time. And that statute will be in there somewhere in your Illinois code.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it actually is, even on their side. But I'm saying, even if I got tired of playing their game and just wanted to move it in on the other side of the court, could I do that? And then,
right. What I said to you is, this is what I said to you, that you're going to have to show them responsible liability. Remember I was saying that proof of responsible? Remember I was showing you how to do that to like State Farm or Geico? They had it right there, proof of liability. That you could just go to the Secretary of State and you could either buy a state bond or put money held in escrow. Remember I was doing that? Proof of financial responsibility.
I remember that.
Right, and this isn't some crazy Fremantle, Montana nonsense that I came up with that I just dreamed about one night. I actually went on a website because the state above me is Maryland. In Maryland, you don't have to have car insurance, but you have to have proof of financial responsibility or liability. And then they give you 4 or 5 ways to prove to the Secretary of State that you will hold yourself liable for any damages you cause. So if it's 10-20-10 in the states for insurance reasons, you're going to show the Secretary of State that you have $20,000 in escrow, or you got $20,000 worth of state bonds being held in escrow, or you got $20,000 in cash. You're going to show them some sort of form of financial responsibility. And then you could get away from the driver's licenses altogether. And then you could just, like I said to you, Malik, this is where we were going with you, that we were just going to get you a state ID, so that way you could go in and out of airports easy, so that way you could go cash a check at the bank easy, so that way you could get a passport easy, but that you don't require a driver's license to take your vehicle from point A to point B, but you have proof of financial responsibility on record with the Secretary of State's office showing that you're an responsible adult and that you will pay for any damages in which you're accused of. Just like any person else who's driving a car with a driver's license in the state of Illinois. Pretty simple.
Mm-hmm.
I believe you should have a state ID. Absolutely. It'll make it easier for you to cash checks. It'll be easier to go in and out of an airport. Does it have to be a driver's license? No, that's ridiculous. State ID? Yeah, I think it's a wonderful thing. Makes the magic happen a lot quicker. You jump between the second dimension and the third dimensional world easily. So if you just want to act as a man all the time, the second dimension ain't going to let you in. Just go watch Who Framed Roger Rabbit. That guy was able to jump between the 2-dimensional world and 3-dimensional world with ease because the second dimension believed that he was a good, credible person. He had good credit with the second dimension. So they let him bounce back and forth. So somebody said that to me the other day. They said, man, Karl, I've never heard anybody explain it like you, how the 2 dimensions can work in conjoint. You can work in harmony. Yes. I don't just want to be a 2-dimensional person. I just don't want to be a 3-dimensional person. Yes, do I want to be a U.S. citizen? Yes, at times when I could benefit from it. Yes. Do I want a bank account? Yes, at times when I could benefit from it. But at other times, obviously, I'm not going to stick all my money in a bank account because I know the IRS can come and seize it at any time I want, or some crazy kid in Hong Kong could grab every damn dime and make it disappear. So obviously, I'm not going to put all my eggs in one basket. Obviously, there's a happy balance somewhere between the 2-dimension and the 3rd dimension. And that's where I try to get. That's where I try to do this man Greg in Indiana. This is where I was trying to get him in a happy balance, because this guy in Greg in Indiana, 90% of his life was in the 2nd dimension. I was trying to get him back into the 3rd dimension, back to his wife, back to his kids, back to his business, back to his farm, back to his animals. He was neglecting the 3rd dimension because he's so freaking wrapped up in the 2nd dimension with codes and citations and the Pope and all this other crazy stuff going on that he was losing balance. And it was driving him crazy. He was literally going crazy.
Little Bill wanted me to let you know he was on.
I got two more questions, and then I can call you later or call you tomorrow. Because I had like a couple more. I had like 5 questions, but I'll ask you 2. Also, when you said that they have to come with a verifiable claim, right? Is it claim or complaint? Because here they do come with a verified sworn complaint, but I would imagine
it's not verified. It's not verified. To me, I don't do anything in the past. I don't use ED. I don't use ING. I use verifiable. It has to be verifiable, which means now, in the present. I don't want to hear that it was verified 20 years ago by your great-great-grandpappy. See, I never use ED, I never use ING. When people read my stuff like that judge did in Indiana court, he knew I was a player. He knew everything I wrote was in the present tense, just like the kings of England used to do when they went, hear ye, hear ye.
What about valid? That ends with ID.
What's that?
Valid?
I don't use the word valid, I just say verifiable. You say valid, but it's what you believe. I'm not here to convince you anything.
Well, valid and verified. That's what I
would say. Verifiable. See, I always, if you go back and listen to the tapes, you'll always hear say, oh, Karl always says verifiable. That's right. Verifiable. I want you to be able to say it now. Not yesterday, not 20 minutes ago.
That's a good
point. But the ED, though, that they use is from, like, just say, like, I got tickets in, like, in my case is like 3-4 years old. So,
right.
When they say verified, they got the verified complaint from the police officer, which is their witness.
That's what I said. That's great. It was verified. Now, make it verifiable. At one time, that's what you believed. At one time, you used to believe in Santa Claus. At one time, you would have taken the witness stand and sworn up and down that there was a tooth fairy. You would have sworn it. There's no doubt about it in your mind. It would have happened. Now, are you ready to verify it? Now, is it verifiable? See, I bring everybody into the present tense. This is what I do with that poor guy in Indiana. I try to get him into the present, the now, the third dimension. Not the fourth dimension where we're sleeping and dreaming.
It can't be a complaint, right? It has to be a claim. It has to be a verifiable claim, not a complaint.
Claim. Well, you can verify you can verify your complaint. You can say my complaint is true. I can say to my wife, hey, you didn't clean the dishes. I'm complaining. Can I verify to that? Oh, you better believe I'm going to verify. It's verifiable. Right. You better believe it. Watch this, honey. I'm complaining.
Okay.
So, but that's it.
So at which point she comes back and says, you don't like it, do them yourself.
That's right. Because where's your verifiable claim that I said that I would be bound to do this for the rest of my life? I don't remember it hiding anywhere. I don't recall.
Okay.
That's why I haven't seen her in 5 years.
On the civil side of things, you were talking about that they have to, the plaintiff always has to appear. And now on the
plaintiff must. No, plaintiff must appear.
Must appear. Okay.
Must appear. If you Google it, plaintiff must appear. It'll pop up millions and millions of times all over the planet. It'll be in Pakistani rulings. It'll be in Hindi rulings. Believe me.
I heard you say that several times.
Right.
Okay.
Will must.
Okay. Must appear. Okay. So in the case of my civil, and I have a civil case going on also, but I have yet to see the plaintiff. I only seen their attorney. So should I start a letter writing campaign to the actual attorney?
Okay. What's he complaining about?
He's complaining about I owe a debt for back rent. Remember I discussed that with you before.
Yeah, we never even started with that one, have we?
Right. Yeah, that's what I was saying. Like I sent it to you, and then you was like, "Well, that's fairly easy." So I guess you figured.
Yeah, that's beyond easy. Yeah, that is really easy. I don't really even waste my time with that. It's so simple and scary.
Yeah. But I know I did a couple things which I know it probably don't matter if I know what's going on. I had did a deposition, and then they
just write a letter. Just write a letter.
That's
statement. I could have sworn we wrote to the Secretary of State man, Andy. It was funny. This guy, Angela, if you don't know, this is Malik. It was funny. He was writing it all official and fancy looking. And I said, no. I said, let me change this. We're going to write, hi, Andy. He said, hi, Andy. He said, what do you mean?
Jesse White is the Secretary of State. We wrote to Jesse first, and then we wrote to...
Oh, yeah, it was like, hi, Jesse. Oh, it's funny. Yeah, but it was funny how we were talking. I said we were getting him down on first name basis because this poor guy Malik was writing back and forth to the Secretary of State's office, I don't know, for years, months before he met me, and he was being ignored. They were never writing back to this poor guy. Right?
Well, they would respond, but they would have me go through an informal hearing, which is at the DNB. And then when I got to the DNB, they would take like 6 weeks to respond to me, 6 to 8 weeks to respond back.
But when we started writing hi Andy or hi whatever the guy's first name was, You were like, what, Carl? You mean your Honorable Secretary of State Highness or something? And I said, no. You say like, hi, Andy, or hi, Bob, or hi, Bill. You know, you show him that he's your public servant, that you don't talk to your maids or your butlers or your public servants.
I was just going to say that. Who's the public servant?
Right. So Malik told me, he said when he sent the letter, it was so funny. How long did it take for him to respond?
They responded the next day via email. Mark, the senior advisor of the Secretary of State, responded the next day.
And one of them, he responded that day. He says, I opened up your letter today. I am responding right now today. That man, they respond to him like a lightning. And then how did he end the letter that you thought was funny? And I said, oh no, that's not funny.
Yours truly.
Yeah, yours truly. What the Attorney General is saying, that he is yours. He is your property. The Secretary of State is at Malik's disposal, at Malik's beck and call. When Malik wants the Secretary of State to perform, he is yours truly. I said, he doesn't love you, Malik. He's not saying, well, I'm truly yours, I'm yours truly. No, that's not a love thing. He's saying he truly works for you. He truly knows his position when you're talking to him. Because Malik expressly wrote that he was a man, and his name is Malik, and sometimes he operates a motorized vehicle to go from point A to point B. So we were having a lovely conversation back and forth with the Secretary of State's office, because they want this poor guy to jump through all freaking hoops. And I'm trying to say to Malik,
when I say to people, know who you are, that's exactly what I mean. Know you're either a man or a woman.
That's right.
And you're the king of your caste, and they work for you, not the other way around.
When you're in the public, you see, when you're home, it's like you see the old Ralph Cramden, I'm the king of this castle. He's right. That's what everybody knew in this whole planet. Everybody tried to come over to the United States, that when you were under your domestic authority, under your domestic control, nobody could tell you what was necessary and proper to maintain domestic tranquility. You could do whatever you want in your house, anything you want. You could contract with anybody, anything, to do anything you want under your jurisdiction, under your roof. And there's not a freaking thing in it. But once you step onto the public venue, you're under the domestic authority of society. And they have policy enforcement officers, cops out there, who are going to enforce the public will upon you. So, you better know what society that you're walking into. When you're walking into Saudi Arabia, you better not shake somebody's hand with your left hand. You better not wave hi. You better not nod your head. There's certain things when you walk into the public venue that you better act accordingly. You see what I'm saying? You know, because you're under their authority. It's their domestic authority, their domestic tranquility that they're trying to maintain and preserve. If you don't like it, go move to Gilligan's Island. Go get the hell out of Saudi Arabia.
Gilligan's Island, that's cute. All right. What else, my dear? Did you have anything else, Malik?
No, I guess I can ask the rest of the questions. I can call Karl at a later time.
Well, if we can benefit from it, though, you know, share it. But we have Little Bill wants to be unmuted, and Anna
Yeah, do Larry. He's a real good guy. I'm trying to get him started on his own show.
Anna 88 Bell has been waiting an awfully long time, so I'm unmuting him first. I will also unmute Little Bill. Okay, everybody's unmuted that had their hand up.
All right, can I speak? This is Alfred on
Please do.
line. With respect to the lien, when the IRS does all their paperwork and you don't answer their paperwork, they give you a lien. Okay? Now he had an answer for that, is to take them back and prove their lien?
No. Well, why didn't you answer the paperwork?
Well, let's say we didn't answer the paperwork.
Okay, well, the dishonorable person. If somebody makes a present to you, you say, thank you for that lovely gift. Okay, so now we're dealing with this honorable person. Okay, so a dishonorable person doesn't feel like answering a letter, and now he wants to try to say, who are you to touch my stuff? Okay, when he was already forewarned that his stuff was going to be touched if he acted dishonorably. Okay.
You got it.
That sounds about right.
Now, how do you go back? You stated to go back after them through a court proceeding or something?
Yep. Well, that's exactly what this guy, Craig in Indiana, could tell you, and I knew it must have drove him totally freaking bananas when he read that very first sentence, the very first letter I wrote for him to the feds. He says, I am sorry that I put this ankle bracelet around my ankle. I no longer require this ankle bracelet, but it's like, I know it's all my fault that this ankle bracelet is around my ankle. And he's like, bullshit, man, those people, they're evil, and it's all a conspiracy against man's rights. I said, dude, there is nobody but you that got you in the position that you are. Until you accept all responsibility for all your actions or inactions, there's nothing I could do for you. And you're going to just jump around like a crazy little baby, and you're going to drive everybody freaking crazy until you say, I'm sorry. And that's where, like, people say, well, wait a second, Karl, you sound like California. You know, it's not like a healing kumbaya crap. It's like, yeah, that's where it all begins. You have to realize it's all your fault. And then you have to move them for forgiveness. And that's exactly what I'm doing. That's exactly what I do with everybody.
Well,
that's just great.
So let's get into the mode here. So then you make the confession that you failed to answer any of their documentation that they sent you. However, you'd like to proceed on the fact that they didn't have a right to lien property.
Well, obviously,
not a right to lien, but they have.
Well, obviously, you what you tried to do. You say at one point in my time, I believed that you had some sort of standing or capacity to do something to me. Now I've become like self-aware, but I'm a man, and you do not have any control or jurisdiction or any rights over a man. You are IRS, you are FBI, you are CIA, you are DOJ, you are XYQ. Mm-hmm. You're a two-dimensional piece of paper. You don't exist anywhere on a planet but on paper. Right. You are not going to be able to appear in court and testify under oath of affirmation. You're not going to be able to verify anything. Okay. Now I'm awake. Now I realize that I was in grave error. I did some incredibly stupid things. I believed in some really silly stuff. Now I want to get back to the third dimension, be left alone. Or let alone. Not left alone. It's going to be let alone.
Yep.
And that's what Greg is doing right now, and it's driving the people down, and like this lawyer lady totally freaking nuts, because she's like, man, we can't get any control over this guy. No. He's pulling away from me, people.
In other words, you're placing him in the position they're in, which is a fiction, and you're keeping yourself in the position that you're in as a living man.
Right. He's pulling himself. He's showing that at one time he was a fiction. He did believe that they did have some sort of control or authority over him. Now he's waking up and realizing, holy cow, at one time in my life I believed there was a benefit to have this taken from me or placed upon me, or for me not to do this or for me to do this. Now I realize, holy cow, it's actually his detriment. It's causing great harm to me as a man. So I'm going to have to back away from it. I'm going to have to set myself free from it.
Okay.
It's very kumbaya-ish, which doesn't sound like Karl Lentz, you know? But the lawyer lady will say, holy cow, this guy's total transformation. This guy was an angry bit. I wanted to kill everybody, man. Now this guy's a walking hugaboo cupcake.
And it takes all the wind out of their sails, too.
Yeah. And like I said, and people think, but Karl, you're you know, what? Yeah. It's like, see, this is just a method to my madness, you know, that it's not very obvious. It takes a while to realize what I'm doing.
It's definitely not that obvious, and it requires quite a bit of thinking on my part, okay, as to how to approach the situation. Now that you've laid it out clearly, okay, it's going to take a lot of thinking and come up with the ability to use the proper words to express it.
Yeah, in a reflection, right? In a reflection, you got to start seeing what I'm saying. And you're going to be so much more relaxed and so much more at ease. It's scary, but I'm from New York, and I'm talking like a hugaboo guy.
All right, thank you, man.
Fill up with kindness. I like that.
Yeah, I do.
Fill with kindness. I love that. You know, I think you can get so much further with that approach.
Yeah, and they love me. They love to hate me.
Okay, little Bill is there. Little Bill? Oh, maybe he stepped away from the phone for a minute.
Hello?
Hey, Larry. No, he muted himself. Yeah, his house is noisy.
Okay, how everybody doing? Lil Bill, and this is Lil Bill. Hello, Angela and Carl.
Hi.
All right, Carl. I was kind of amused by the young lady that was asking the question about lien, and I hope she didn't get upset, which I think she might have because she
makes somebody upset.
I think
she was frustrated.
Exactly right. And that's the word to use. But Carl, I understood what you was trying to get her to understand was, first you have to understand, you have to know what what lien is. You have to understand what a lien is to be able to fight a lien. I mean, if you don't know the definition of lien, you didn't know you're fighting something that you don't even know what you're fighting. And I don't think she took easy to that, because once you know what a lien is, it makes it a whole lot easier to be able to attack it and everything else, So, and that's one thing she had a problem with, because the key is you wouldn't want to turn that W4 in, do another W4 like y'all told her, because you'll be definitely putting something new on top where they'll be able to attack what you put new on top. So, but anyway, hopefully she'll get back on the call and get a better understanding. But the show was going great, and some of your callers, man, they was doing pretty good of what they was asking. It's good to hear Malik on the call. I haven't heard from him in a while. So, but other than that, Karl, you're doing a great job, man.
Isn't that sweet? Where'd Karl go?
I know, he probably,
Hey, Karl, you there?
He probably fell off. I don't see him on the chat. I don't see him on the board, so he probably fell off, Angela.
Oh my.
Yeah.
Oh, looks like he's gone. Yeah, well, maybe his battery wore out or something. He'll probably be back.
But Angela, did you understand what she was talking about? I mean,
maybe Karl figured you're on now, so you can take a little break.
Yeah, I tell you, that sounds like that's what he did, But I see some of the friends.
He's back.
Back on.
Yeah, sorry about that, Larry. Yeah,
okay.
I thought you took a break because you knew Lil Bill was on.
Oh, I did. You better believe it. That's why I go get something to eat. Bill's a good talker. Oh, Larry. Bill. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I tell you what, I'm really beginning to enjoy helping people since I'm retired and everything else, and those that I can help, that I do help. My thing is, I love helping people that's getting presentments and being sued with lawsuits and everything, because I like to turn them around and drag them into either common law court or drag them into a contract and run a process where I can drag them into common law court. And believe me, it holds the lawyers up in limbo. They don't know what to do. They don't know how to address it and everything else. And I'm helping several people now that's cases is on file and everything, and is being held up because the lawyers don't know what to do. And what happened is, when a person gets a presentment and everything else, we do one thing.
I'm getting some bad feedback. Karl, what did you do? Did you change phones or something?
No, that's not me. I'm still sitting in the same place I am.
Yeah, well, the feedback's coming. Your name on my chat board lights up when you make a noise or when you talk.
Oh, wow.
So, and it's only you and Little Bill on there now. I muted out Illinois and everybody else. So.
Yeah, Larry, just talk to them a little bit before what we were talking about, about the common law, Judge Judy, and contract. And common law is the contract between the parties.
Oh, okay.
Larry's really good. Larry's getting really good with this contract, but he's still separating the two. Basically, the common law and the contract is one and the same.
One and the same, right.
Looking at it as two different things, but honestly, they're really the same.
And Karl made a good point to all your listeners that's on the air now. If you look at these court cases that you see on court, divorce cases, Judge Judy and some of the other ones, you're speaking about common law right there in its finest. I mean, if you notice, Judge Judy, she strictly does common law, whether people can is an injured party that's been injured, and she goes with whoever has the best evidence, and they win. You know, and the best evidence is based on contract. You know, right, and you're right there in common law court when she pulls it. I mean, you can see it so plainly that it's common law when they walk into a court and the plaintiff present her evidence and everything, and she will lose only if she can't prove her case to Judge Judy. And I've seen some of them lose based on the fact that they didn't have any documentation, mainly, even though they brought a person in court at a verbal contract that they couldn't prove with a witness and everything else. So when Karl brought to my in all those courts that marks the same thing that she does, believe me, you're talking about common law at its finest. And I thought that was very ironic, you know. But like I was saying too, which is like Karl just stated, is one of the same when when you're being sued, and I turn that lawsuit into a contract, and is standing right there on a common law ground, because when I turn that lawsuit into a contract, it's gonna sit there, and it's gonna tie the lawyer's hands, because they're not going to be able to object that they just got into a contract when they send you a summons claiming that they are suing you for this and that, and the only thing you say, okay, I accept that suit. I accept it, and remember, when you're being sent a presentment or a lawsuit, 9 times out of 10 is going to be from a debt collector that's representing whatever client that they are representing. And
You okay, Larry?
Where'd you go? Oh my.
What do you speak? Let me catch what Larry's trying to say. What Larry's going on about is really good. This is what we talk about all the time when I do that show thing. Is when somebody's sending you something, accept it. And what he's saying, it stymies them. They don't know what to do because there's not a controversy now in the public. How are they going to move it into an open form? Until they meet the terms and the conditions, because you're passing the hot potato back and forth. So now when somebody hands you their lawsuit or their belief in the debt that you owe, you say, fine. You know, you believe I owe that? And Larry's got a novel way of doing things like that. He's getting creative. You know, that's what's great. That's why I don't want people just be a disciple of me and just doing everything I say to do. He's like, well, why don't we charge the lawyers, say, $5,000, $10,000 for my signature? Or Larry's got an interesting way of looking at things, too, and this is what I try to tell people. I just don't want to be this kind of guy where everybody says, oh, we have to do it exactly the way Karl says to do it. No. I'm just throwing it out there, and I'm hoping you folks branch off with it. And, you know, and you can pick up with it. And Larry, like I said, he was a postal man for almost his whole life. So obviously he knows the powers of letters and writing and how valuable it is and what a great form of communication. And like I said, I will not discuss anything with anybody in court or any attorney unless it's in writing and unless it's signed, unless the man's name is upon it. I won't do it. I don't do rubber stamps. I don't do any kind of crazy seals. I'm going to see that the man signed it with blue ink, and I'm going to prove that I'm going to hold this man liable for everything that he makes a claim on that piece of paper. And it drives him totally crazy. So, Larry, did you get back on yet, Larry? Yeah, his house is kind of loud sometimes. So, sometimes he has
that's a little Bill, right? Little Bill?
Yeah, sometimes he has to mute himself because sometimes it gets loud over there.
I don't see him here anymore.
Yeah, some man named Dallas is doing like a Monday show, and Larry, they're all jumping on these Monday shows. Yeah, Dallas, not the Dallas, the California Dallas. That guy's got great questions. The other Dallas who actually lives in Texas. His actual name is Dallas, but, yeah, you know what I'm talking about. That's a great little guy from California. He's crazy. I like him.
Yeah, I like him, too.
I haven't heard him in a long time. Him and his dad. I know his dad was...
He was on the last time you were on, I think.
Yeah.
He was on when we had Joe on, or somebody. He wasn't on. He was on not too long ago. He might be on there right now. Is that you on there, Dallas?
Yes, I am on.
We love you.
Yes, I'm sitting down eating dinner with my dad, so I've been listening.
See, I know. See, tell me I don't know.
I keep my ears open.
Yeah, I told you, man, he's got a dad who's on disability, or IRS liened him, or something about a Social Security check. I remember.
Oh, yeah, so still going through a few things, but getting some of them cleared up.
Well, hopefully it's helping, but it's stuff that, that I'm talking about, hopefully. I'm just trying to make things simple.
Yeah, and the whole thing is that's what I just like to keep things as simple as possible, not complicated, and make them obey their own laws.
Oh, yeah.
Their laws, it's not mine. It's their laws.
Right.
I just try to get them to obey their own laws. That's all I do.
And they will, believe it or not, man. People think that, they're evil and they won't. Oh, yes, they will. When you smack them in the face with it and they're looking straight at it and you're going to hold them liable as a man, that's the whole trick. Because they're going to ignore you if you're talking to the judge or the prosecutor or the Secretary of State. They're going to ignore you. When you write, "Hi, Bill, greetings. Hi, Andy, how you doing?" Then they realize, he's not scared of us. No, I know you're a man just like me. On one leg at a time, just like I do. You've got a job, I've got a job, and your job is interfering with my job, my rights. And you better stop, and you better back off, because you're the one wearing the uniform. You're the one who answers to me. I don't answer to you. So once they realize that you know where you're standing, then they act accordingly. They snap around real quick. Or they recuse themselves. They'll just back out. They say, you know what, I'm not playing with this guy. This guy knows I'm not playing with him. I went to 9 judges on that case just to get my kid back. 9 judges, 17 lawyers. They just recuse themselves. They're like, I'm not playing with this guy. He's going to hold me personally liable. I'm not playing with him. So they know what they're doing. They might not do what you want them to do, but they're going to leave the scene real quick. They're going to be like, I'm out of here. I'm not dealing with this guy. I recuse myself. I got a toothache. I know his sister or something, some excuse why they're not going to want to be in a position to make any kind of ruling or decision in my life.
Well, Karl, we like what you're saying, make them do what you want them to do. I do that all the time.
Yeah.
You know how I do it? I ask questions.
Oh, yeah? No, you
I ask questions. I learned one thing from a guy by the name of Howard Freeman years ago from Montana, and the one thing he said, anything you say can be used against you when you're in court.
Oh, yeah.
Anything they say, speaking of they, anything they say is a legal determination.
That's right.
So I make them stick their feet in their mouth by making legal determinations. Then I use the magic 7 words: for the record, let the record show. And then I add it into the record, and they can't go anywhere. They're just stuck because they made the legal determination.
Well, what you should always do, what I tell people, this is what I do. Anytime that you want to say honor for the record, that's fine, that's lovely. You can just say to them, I need leave of court, instead of saying honor for the record. Because that way you're going to preserve the record by saying, I require leave of court. They say, what for? You say, hang on a second, write it down on a piece of paper and say, there you go. Now the court's back in session. Well, I just have to put it down in writing and put it in place. Because you can enter motions through the guy in the black robe. The guy who's sitting in the black robe, he can accept motions, he can accept objections. But I'm going to put it in writing, and I'm going to hand it to him, and he's got to file it to the court clerk's office. You see what I'm saying? So a lot of people like you will say honor for the record. Yeah, you know what? The stenographer lady, her fingers might freeze up at that time, and she said, oh, I had a bad cramp. You know what? So I'm going to require leave of court. I'd like to go to the bathroom. I got to leave the court for a second. I require leave of court. Again, Mr. Lentz? Yes, I require leave of court. He's going to have to grant it to me. He's going to say, okay, fine, I'll give you 2 minutes. It's like, okay. And you put it in writing and say, there you go, sir. There's my answer. Do everything in writing. Everything in writing. Everything in writing. Everything in writing. Everything signed, everything in writing.
Everything in writing.
Everything in writing. Everything signed.
If it's not in writing, you can't do anything with it.
That's right.
Otherwise, it's just hearsay. Your word against theirs, and they don't care.
That's right. If that man wants to say something, the prosecutor wants to say something, let him go on a stand and take the stand and testify to it.
Carl, do you send things certified mail, or how do you send a document?
Certified is okay sometimes when, it's not always required, but certified is okay. But like I said, sometimes we try to set people up. Like, it's funny, there's one guy has I don't think he's on a shelf in Indiana, but he has a whole bunch of chickens within a city limit. And that's not me, Angela, making that noise. So there's a man in Indiana, in the city of Fort Wayne, who has like 20 or 30 chickens in his front yard. In the city of Indiana, obviously, Fort Wayne is telling him to remove the chickens immediately. So I said to him, we don't want to send this letter certified. And I wrote the letter, and I took the letter, and he was laughing his behind off. You know, we went to the hotel, and I was out there in the lobby. I said, let me fix the letter I wrote. And all the ways I wrote the letter S, I wrote them backwards to look like a number 2 or letter Z, to make me look like I was an idiot, to make me look like I was a moron. So that way, this man, I was setting him up with a trap, just saying, do you wish for me to move my chickens out into the county? And it was funny the way I wrote it. I talked like a first grader, and I wrote the letters, some of the letters backwards. I purposely misspelled words. So I was waiting for this man, for this county game warden, county animal control man, to order me, to give me an order. Is that an order? And I was waiting for him to give me the order, or this man the order. And he hasn't gotten an answer back, and it's been about 30 days now. But we're waiting for the animal control to say, yes, I order you. Say, oh, you order me to remove my chickens out of the city of Fort Wayne. And I basically wrote it incredibly retarded. And so I'm waiting for the order. Because as soon as he gives the order, I said, you're immediately going to remove the chickens, you're going to bring them out to the county somewhere, and you're going to hand this guy a freaking bill for the storage fee for the chickens, the transport fee for the chickens, for the maintenance, for the veterinary fees of these chickens, and charge him $1,000 a chicken for the next 10 years, however long the chickens live. So you ordered me to do this, I carried out your wish. But when you want to order me to do something, I demand compensation. Any man who demands anything of another man is entitled to compensation, because the 13th Amendment says there is to be no involuntary servitude or slavery upon this land. So, did you order me to do something? Yes. Did you order 5,000 flapjacks? Yes. Did you order 5,000 Happy Meals? Yes. You better believe when you get around to the window, you're going to pay for those Happy Meals. You better believe when you order me to remove these chickens, you better believe I'm going to hand you a bill, and you better believe you're going to pay for them. Because they're my chickens, my property, just like McDonald's. Those were their hamburgers, their Happy Meals. They surrendered them, turned them over to you, because they expected compensation. Oh, what, do you think I was carrying out your order and not going to require compensation? Oh, really? What do you think, I'm retarded just because I write a silly letter? So that one I did not send certified, because I said to him, just put it on a stamp, or just walk into the office, don't take a shower for a day or two, walk into the animal control's office and say, hey, you know, somebody said something about my chickens, yeah, I just want to hand them a letter, and have them get back to me real soon if you can. Don't do anything on the phone. So sometimes I play stupid, and I don't do everything certified and registered and everything else like that, because I'm basically setting a trap. Because I know these people are smart. And if they see that you're demanding orders of them, they're not going to order you. Because they realize, uh-oh, he's using the magic word, order. Are you ordering me? Because then they have to show that they have some sort of scope of authority and jurisdiction over you. And obviously, if you use just certain words like I do, it's like, uh-oh, no, sir, we're not ordering you to do anything. Like I did that to a poor judge lady one time. You know, like, are you ordering me to stand up? You order me to take off my hat. You order me this, you order this. Is this what you're ordering? Are you ordering, Your Honor? Is this what you're ordering? Is this what you're ordering? Are you ordering me? He's like, you order me to do this. Are you ordering? Is this an order? And then after a while, they just say, they realize where I'm going with it. And they said, no, I'm not ordering you to do anything. And that's right. They'll start figuring out that, no, I'm not somebody you better give orders to. That's what I say to people when you get stopped by a cop. Ask the cop. The cop says, driver's license, insurance, and driver's license. He said, oh, is that an order? What? I said, is that an order? I say, hey, can we make these orders short and sweet? How about you order me out of my car, order me to spread my legs, order me to sit in the back of your car, order me to put handcuffs on, order me to abandon my vehicle here so it gets stolen or towed away, order me to go get fingerprinted, order me for mug shots, and order me to sit in the cage. Why don't we just do all the orders in one shot? I got my pen, I'm taking out my order form, da-da-da-da-da. Can you just order me all in one shot? Can we just make this quick and easy? Here, and here's my bill for carrying out all the orders. He'll say, goodbye. I can't wait to do that to some cop someday. Just say, hey, you want to place your order? I'll take all your orders. Because all cops know that they're acting under orders. They'll say, well, I was ordered by my staff sergeant or the officer, my sergeant to take squad car 54. And then his sergeant was ordered by his shift commander to assign everybody to certain precincts, certain districts of the precinct. And then he was ordered by the LA police commissioner to do something. And every cop knows on Friday because he carried out the orders that he was told to do. On Friday, he's going to get compensated. He's going to get a paycheck. And he better believe that when he shows up on Friday and this officer doesn't get paid, he's going to be like, hey, I carried out all the orders. I got in squad car 54. I worked 9 to 5. I did my shift. I did everything you ordered me to do. Where's my compensation? And the shift commander is going to say, well, go talk to the sergeant. I don't know. Sergeant's going to say, well, go talk to the police commissioner. I don't know. The police commissioner better have a damn good reason why I'm not being compensated, because I was just carrying out my orders and I demand compensation. So to me, if they're being ordered around and they're getting compensated, if they want to order me, if they think I'm under them, if I'm subordinate to the cop on the street, if he believes that I'm under him and he can order me, well then why can't I demand compensation from him? There you go. And everybody's like, wow, man, like, Karl's so non-confrontational. It's like, no, order me. Just give me the order. I'll be glad to carry it out. But you don't want to be compensated. You thought this was involuntary? You thought I was forced to do this? Oh, no. It's all voluntary. Harry Reid told you guys, it's all voluntary. This is a country, everything in this nation is all voluntary. We can't do anything without their consent. He's not lying to you. But did Larry get back on? Did little Bill get back on?
Yeah, he's on.
Go ahead, little Bill. Larry, go ahead.
Oh, man, you was doing great, man. Sure.
Tell them how you're going to charge them $5,000 or $5 million for a signature. Go ahead. That was pretty funny. We were talking about that before.
Yeah, I was taking notes, man. I was really taking notes. I fell off, but you're right. That's what I do when I do an agreement with a presentment and makes a contract. I start accepting, start accepting and invoices and everything, Because think about it, when anyone summons you and they're saying they're suing you, and if you agree with that and make that an agreement into a contract, and you remember you got a case number with that summons, and you file that agreement, because this is what I do. I file that agreement and make a contract out of it. And what I do with that contract, I say accepted for contract, settlement, and closure. And that'll be my first answer, that I send right back to the courts. And can you think what that lawyer is going to do when he see your answer says contract for settlement and closure? He's going to go to scrambling. And when he read the contract that I done charged the hell out of him, I done charged him if he drags me in the court. I done charged him for the signature that he wanted on the paperwork that he was suing for. I charged him for that, and then I gave him 10 to 15 days to pay that charge. And then like in any contract, you have to always give them a way out. You have to always give them a remedy. So when I deal with lawyers, especially from the bigger the law firm, the better. Once I charge them $400,000, $500,000, some $1,000, I give them a remedy, give them a way out to get off this nonsense and everything else, and to pay $500. And that's really an insult to them when they see that and everything else. But you always have to give a remedy and give them a way out of that contract. But that's what I do. I put money on it. I price it. But the key is, you hear that old saying, agree with your adversary before they take you before the judge. And that's what summons and lawsuits is all about. They want to drag you into court. So if you start disputing anything in that summons, well then, yeah, you're going to get drugged into court. But when I take it and make a contract out of it and everything else and turn it back in with that case number, I'm just waiting on the day that they turn around and file an objection to their paperwork. Because remember, they can't object to their own paperwork because it's their case. And I didn't dispute that case. I agree with it. And I put terms and conditions on it, and I put a price on it. So, and what makes it good, too, is that it sets them up that if in the event that it goes any further, I'm able to drag them in the common law with a claim even easier because of the fact that, they got a case that's been settled and closed. Now, I've had a judge in Florida with the contract and everything else that I did with this one company, and he wrote me a letter. He wanted to talk to me about the case, about the contract. And quite naturally, I objected to that. But I said, and anytime you do an objection or motion, you have to let them know why. And I don't go no further. I stand on the fact that the case has been settled and closed. The contract has been settled and closed. I don't go no further. And same thing as the lawyers, they start want to file all kinds of motions and notice and everything. I object to every last one of them because the case, we got a contract, has been settled and closed. So it works pretty good. And now I got several cases out there. I got 2 in Florida, 1 we going with in Tennessee, and 1 we going with, I think, in Oregon. The young lady just filed hers yesterday in Oregon. And these cases are going to be at a standstill because the lawyers are not going to be able to know how to handle the fact that they got drugged into a contract. Now, I told one young lady who had a contract, and hers, well, she had a presentment, and there was a presentment that came with no signature on it. I said, well, call that 1-800 number. Tell whoever you talk to that someone sent you some paperwork in error, and you want to discuss it, and you need to discuss it with someone that it has your name on it, and you don't know who it is. You need someone to send you some documents, send you a correspondence in writing where you'll be able to know who you're talking to, be able to identify who you're talking with. And we did that for a reason, because whoever sent her any presentment, we're going to be able to drag him into a contract. Because with a contract, the only thing you need is a signature. And once you got that signature, your signature going to make it a binding contract. And it's going to make it that much easier for you to bring it right on into common law if you need to. But one thing you're going to do with a case number, and the good part about it, they suing you with that case number, is going to always be on file. When you file your first answer that you accept that contract for settlement and closure, and it works pretty well.
Well, my phone is going to die a little bit there, Larry. Yeah, but like I said, the big thing, like I was saying before, is the big thing is their case always goes into limbo because they can't move it, and sometimes most people are just happy to have them go away.
Right.
Most people don't want to pursue this any further, so I just try to show people how to make it go away. Like Angela said to me earlier, she said, wow, you know, the guy found that piece of paperwork in the court and he really didn't know what he was doing. It's like, well, he had 2 options. Go to jail, because he knew he was going to jail. There was no doubt in his mind. So a lot of times I get people who are desperate. So I said, look, do you just want this to go away? Do you want them to stop prosecuting you? Do you want them just to make this all go away? The phone died.
No, we can still hear you. Where'd you go? Oh, jeez.
Yeah, he hung up.
Did die.
Yeah, Karl, we still heard you.
Good grief. He dropped off the call.
Yeah, I see.
Good grief. Central North Carolina, go ahead. Did you have a question?
Yes, how you doing, Angela?
Fine, thank you. Who's this?
This is Danny.
Hi, Danny.
I'm all right. What's up, Larry?
What's going on, Danny?
All right. What Karl was saying, he was just saying, to get them in there, and you know, you're gonna be, you want the case to go away. I mean, some people don't really know exactly, what's going on the paperwork, and that's the thing. So they don't want to get in there and, start throwing blows or start saying anything in open court, because if you open your mouth with that claim before the court and you don't stand on your claim, then you will be in contempt of your own court. And that's what the whole thing is. And that's why, some people are desperate. They just want it to go away and leave it alone. Other people want to, stand and throw blows and go back and forth with them, and depends on what you're looking to get, what you can get out of it, or whatever you're looking. And my thing is, if you're going to go in there, get compensated. That's all it is. Get compensated. If you don't want to get compensated, then get in and get out.
I agree with that.
Yeah, get in and get out, and, you know, that way, you know, I mean, some people want to learn, they'll learn. Eventually, some people, you know, like, you know, just a little girl out there.
Carl is back on, Andrew.
He's a little retired.
I just unmute him.
Hey, Carl.
What's up? My phone died.
What's up, Carl?
Carl,
Hey.
we heard you. Phone didn't
Oh, wow,
die.
this is Dan.
Yeah.
Dan's all right.
Carl has a knack. He will always let you know when his phone is about to die. He knows when to the very last split second, he knows when the phone is about to die. He'll get a last word out, and then he'll go off. It's good, Carl. We'll go where you left off at.
Well, what do you call it? Like I said, Angela, a lot of people, they're doing like a Monday night call.
Oh, wait a minute. We're getting all kinds of feedback.
Dan and me.
It's not me.
Well, Lisa.
Everybody that's not talking at the moment, mute yourself out. Just hit star six. And, go ahead. No, I don't hear it.
Yeah, something's going on.
Yeah. Go ahead, Central North Carolina.
Oh, no. Yeah, that was Carl was talking. Go ahead, Carl. You got on the call. Go ahead.
Oh, well, no, like I said, Angela, a lot of people that don't listen to my call on Saturday, and we're telling them to come over to your call on Thursdays to help you out in case you ain't got nobody. So a lot of these folks who are listening...
Are you kidding? That's
no.
a joke.
Oh, it's great. Oh, no, like I said, they got a Monday night call that they're trying to get off the ground.
We always have a lot of people on our call.
Oh, but you know, like I said, they're trying to get a Monday night call going because nobody's on Monday anymore since Gordon Hall's gone.
No, Dave Mack's on Monday.
Who?
Dave Mack, isn't he? Still on
I don't
Monday.
know. Well, I'm just trying to help Larry's show. Larry's trying to do a show in Texas with Dallas.
You don't need to help me out. We don't sell anything.
Oh, no, what I'm saying, no, we
people
try to, like I
come
said...
automatically to learn and stuff.
But like I said, tonight, if you see like Malik, Dan, Larry, Greg, those guys all came from the Saturday night show. And now I turned them all on to you. So see what I'm saying? So we're trying to get everybody like to start a big thing going on instead of just small little talk shows. We're trying to get it 7 days a week, at least 5-6 days a week. So what I'm trying to say is Larry and Dan and Dallas are trying to do a show on Monday. So that's not, you know, if you don't mind Larry or Dan telling you what that call number is that they're trying to do.
No, I don't mind. I would like to know. I'll put it on the talk show guide.
That's 129-784.
129-784.
Yeah.
What are you calling it?
Oh, it's Dr. Boombender. That's
what?
Dr. Boombender.
Dr. what?
Dr. Boombender.
How you ask?
You asked.
Don't ask.
Dallas came over there. You have to talk to Dallas about that.
I have no idea.
Oh yeah, Carl wanted to tell you too. They never showed up in court, man. JC with the animal control. Yeah, they never showed up, so they dismissed it.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah.
That
one letter. The one he
the phone died again. Good night, folks.
All right.
No, it didn't. I can hear you. Oh, goodness gracious me.
He's gone.